Hey, what's going on? I'm Keith here at Sports Vibes TV, and today I'm joined by our NBA analyst, Stephen Fox. Fox, my guy, how's everything with you?
Everything's well. Salute to you. Salute to the chat. Salute to the SV Nation. I hope all is well. Hope everyone's doing well after that heartbreaking loss by the Giants today and the demolition of the Jets by Denver. But we're talking New York Knicks basketball, so I have a smile on my face. Thank the Lord.
Facts, Foxy. Definitely want to say salute to the chat. We've already got a bunch of people tuned into the show. Frederick, he's chatting from or he's watching the show out in Puerto Rico. My guy Anudi 25, he's saying, "Yeah, how's everything with you, my guy? Long time no speak. How's everything?" Henry Perez, he's in the chat as well. And guys, we've got a pretty jam-packed show for you today. But Foxy, you touched on it at the beginning. What's going on with our New York football teams? It seems like they're a mirror image of each other. It's getting crazy.
Yeah, Giants lost to a really bad team today. Daniel didn't throw in, from a turnover perspective, but the game plan, the penalties, the drops, the injuries, the missed tackles, it was painful. It was really, really painful. And the Jets, Zach Wilson, I don't know what the kid's doing. Man, maybe we should have kept Sam and used that draft choice, or traded those draft choices for a few and had more guys. But folks, it's going to be a really long season. But again, we have our Knicks to put a huge smile on our face because our football teams are not going to do it.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. But luckily, we have a team like the Knicks that seem like they have their things together. And we are hearing some concerning news. At least to me, it's a little bit concerning when it comes to Mitchell Robinson, who will probably start the show off. Foxy, have you been listening to what's coming out of training camp so far? They're saying Mitch may not be ready. He still hasn't been on the court with his teammates putting up shots. Is this going to factor in, or do you think this is going to hold him from potentially being that starting center we want him to grow into?
I think it'll delay him being the starter that we want him to be. I think I'd rather them, and you touched on it with your great video and your comments last week about what's it called, the Jones fracture, or what's that?
The Jones fracture.
Yeah, that I'd rather them be very. This is a big guy. He's put on more weight. He's put on 60 pounds in 2 years, but let's just be cautious. We've seen with the Lopez's and different centers over the years, big guys. You don't want to have feet problems, so let it heal, let it go slowly, and we'll see. Hopefully, he'll be ready by the start of the season, but. Now it looks like it was a prudent move to get Noel in there, that we have somebody who can block shots. Obviously, he's not Mitch at all, but we could be a lot worse in that position. So let's be cautious, and we'll see. What do you think? Do you think he'll make it by beginning of the season, and they're just being cautious?
I think they're being overly cautious. If you look at the post, they said NBA source says the medicals that they've received have been positive, have been optimistic. They just don't want to put him in too soon because, like I said in that video, the Jones fracture is a injury that has a high probability of reoccurrence. So if they do put him out there before it's too soon, before he's ready to go out there, it could re-aggravate the injury and we're starting back at square one. And then you add the fact that he put on, like they've been saying in the media, 60 pounds over the last 2 years. And Mitchell Robinson also doesn't have the biggest foot. So you have a small foot trying to support a large frame in which you just added an additional 60 pounds. So I can see why the Knicks are being a little bit cautious. And now it starts to make more sense why they paid Nerlens Noel's, borderline starting center money. If they're not entirely sure that Mitch will be available to start the season and they envision Nerlens Noel as a replacement starter, then now you can see why they gave him, the 3-year deal, even though 1 year is an option.
Yeah, the medical staff had to advise them a while back saying, hey, we're not going to make this public, but this type of injury for a big guy, you better make sure you have an insurance policy. And they were smart to do that with Nerlens and Taj. He filled in admirably at the end of last year. I just don't know how much he has in the tank. So the battle of the bigs, ladies and gentlemen.
Battle of the bigs. Yeah, Taj will factor in as well, but like you said, I'm not sure how much he. Well, he did. He was serviceable in the playoffs last season when filling in the backup role. So he probably still has some more to contribute. But I really don't want to see Taj out there on the court. If we can have
Me either.
Mitch and Nerlens Noel splitting the minutes, then that's perfectly fine with me. I don't want to see Taj. He can fill that Theo Pinson role where he.
You beat me to it. I was
Yeah,
gonna say the same thing. Like, let him be the Theo Pinson, but Lord, he's played his days. And come on, man, we need real NBA.
need ballers.
We need ballers at this stage. Someone with something in the tank and something to give. He's good for a possession or two, but that's it at this point in time. Nerlens, as we saw with Clint, got abused on pick and rolls and other things, but hey, it's a new season, and like we said, and Mitch is just an elite offensive rebounder. Come on, Mitch. We're all saying prayers for you. Get that foot out there, get that big body out there, take it nice and slow. But we want to see you all year healthy, and we want to see you in the playoffs. So take as much time as you need. But when you come back healthy for the duration, please.
Yeah, as you can see, these are their stats from last season. Offensively, you're getting a lot more. I won't say a lot, but you're getting more from Mitch, seeing that he can finish in the paint. He can finish above the rim, even though he won't take that mid range like we've been dying for him to expand his game to. But you can see also that Mitch is a better rebounder. Last season, Nerlens Noel, he did have more blocks per game, but I think Mitchell Robinson, when he doesn't block the shot, he still is altering he's altering shots, so
Absolutely.
at least he's making it more difficult for the opposing team. So I think
he intimidates him, no doubt.
A little bit blocks might be a little bit misleading just because Nerlens Noel has more, but I think if you look at Mitchell Robinson's impact out there, it goes a lot further than just the blocks.
Yeah, it's strange. We've discussed how bad Nerlens' hands are on the offensive side. But the strange part is he's very good at poking the ball away for steals on the defensive side. So he did that constantly last year, especially at the end of the season, where he got his hand poking in there and he was disrupted and get the steal. So it's so strange how he could be effective on the defensive side of the ball and poking the ball away for steals. But he has some of the worst hands we've ever seen on the offensive side, getting lobs and anything else thrown his way.
Grabbing rebounds too. He just can't put his hands together, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know if he has small hands, he has weak hands, but we do know he has bad hands.
Yeah, it's brutal. It'll be interesting to see how Gibson flows with the second unit if Mitch isn't available to start the season. I really hope he's available there for those preseason games, because if not, we're going to be starting off on a bad start. And I think a lot of us are saying opposing teams have injury concerns and they may not be fully healthy, and that'll allow the Knicks to kind of move up in the Eastern Conference. But if we're starting the season and we're the ones that have the injury concerns, then that's not really how I would like to start the season. I want to start everybody healthy. I want everybody to have the best opportunity to earn their spot, and not people winning spots due to other players being unavailable.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're looking around, they're doing their homework, saying, "Hey, is there another big?" I know, people in the chat may be saying, "Hey, what about Jericho Sims?" I don't know if he's ready for prime time, folks. So they may try to get a serviceable vet that maybe for a few weeks or something, if that's necessary, until Mitch comes on board healthy and he's given the housekeeping seal of approval on a checkoff for his health. But Nerlens, I don't think we can go with Nerlens and Taj if Mitch can't go for a few weeks. I think we may have to get a backup. What do you think?
The thing is, who will be available at this point?
I know it has to be Pell level players.
Yeah, exactly.
So
replacement level. We would hope they're replacement level, but I don't think we'd find another big that'll give us the same level of
no doubt
protection that you would get from a Mitch and Nerlens Noel combo.
Yeah, we'd get 6 fouls, and that's about it out of them. So, Justin Patton played during the summer league, but yeah, it's painful. That's why, a lot of people let's sign Mitch, because getting a quality big man is not that easy. So if you have one, you have to light a candle that they could be healthy, and if that, then you just work on the development side and be patient, because if you have one that's like Mitch, that's athletic, has bounce and offensive rebounder, shot blocker, rim protector, can slide on pick and rolls, do all that good stuff, get out, close out on threes and stuff like that. Hold on for dear life, and hopefully they're just being cautious, but smart cautious, holding him out until everything works out. I wonder if he's sleeping in one of those chambers.
The hyperbolic chamber.
Thanks. Yeah, because didn't you bring up that type of injury has circulation issues?
There are some kind of issues when it comes to that's why it's so fragile. You don't get the most blood pumping to that area of the foot.
Yeah, so I didn't
And
know
that's
whether
why the healing process is so tricky.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking maybe they were putting him in a chamber at night for the oxygen to keep, maybe help the accelerate or expedite the healing and stuff like that.
The healing process. Yeah, Foxy, you were saying he's able to close out, defend, smaller players on the perimeter because of his length, and I just hope he's able to still be able to do that, because with this additional 60 pounds, if I have a meal and I add an extra 2-3 pounds, I'm not moving the same way. I know we're talking the difference between fat and muscle, but that extra weight is just going to weigh on you. And if you're talking about a player that has a compromised foot already, it's not the best recipe. It's not a recipe for success personally, but hopefully he has the right nutritionist, and hopefully this New York Knicks health training staff is working with him to make sure he's going about it the right way, because he could have put on 60 pounds, but as long as he did it the right way and it's in line with his frame, I think hopefully, we'll see a beast in Mitch.
Yeah. You know what? In all the years, I don't know if there is a right way to put on 60 pounds. I think there's a right way to put on 15 pounds of muscle. But I don't know if there's a right way for a professional athlete to put on 60 pounds. And as I mentioned, as an older guy that played ball, in his youth and stuff, that muscle memory in the brain is the frightening part, that your brain's saying go left, but your body's not moving the same way as it used to. And you know what? That's when injuries happen. So let's hope that his body, his brain, everything is in sync. And he's going to come out brand new Mitch Robinson 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, whatever the rev is, that he'll be bigger, better, and hopefully healthier. That's all we ask.
Bigger, better, healthier, and with a mid-range jump shot.
Now you're really asking.
I don't think that's asking for much. A little mid-range.
Me either. Tell me about it. I agree with you. Like I said, he shoots 49% from the foul line, but I take 49% from pick and pops from the foul line any day of the week. So shoot, Mitch, please keep him honest. So, but it does look like Mitch, in terms of a battle, it's not going to be much of a battle. That Nerlens will probably be the safe bet, and probably by hopefully the second week or so, they'll flip flop and Mitch will take on that starter position again, ease him back in, eases, his wind, everything else, his cardio, and get back into it, because, he's probably only riding a bike, don't you think?
Probably. Yeah. Cardio.
Yeah. And that's a lot different than doing sprints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, You'd have hoped he had advanced a little bit further by now, though, because what are we? We're at least 6-7 months from the injury.
Yeah, I know. So yeah. So,
there were some hints that he might have been able to return for the Atlanta game, and the team was on the fence. So now we're 2-3 months removed from there, and he's still not, maybe even more, 4 months removed from there, and we're still not sure if he's going to take the court for preseason.
Yeah, those hints had to be BS. They just had to be like propaganda, maybe, because if they're saying this at this time, there's just no way he could have been in any playing shape for Atlanta back then.
But even behind the scenes, he was on social media saying, "Hey, let me out there, let me play." So we're getting, as fans, we're getting all these mixed signals, and it's like, what's the truth?
Yeah, hey, he's a typical player. I'll get me out there. I don't care if I got one arm. I'll get it. Come on, let me at him. I'll get him. So,
yeah. Let's get into the chat a little bit. I see my guy George from Into the Knicks Verse is in there saying salute to the real DSJ. Delano, how's everything going, my guy? Hope all is well with you.
Our
Let's
guy
see.
Justin L. Hope all is well. Hope you had a nice week, Justin. You and the family. Thanks for joining us. Lex the Destroyer. Our guy Ron Cowan. One of our favorites. Always has
Yeah.
real deep stuff. Leaving excellent
Deep, insightful
comments.
comments. Yep.
Yep. Camario Jarvis, greetings to you. Camario, I don't have a channel. My channel is Sports Vibe TV. So if you want to check me out, I'm on Sports Vibe TV. If you want to check me out on Twitter, I'm Fox at Fox Sports Talk. But my channel is Sports Vibe TV. That's the only place you'll find me. So
make sure you guys smash that like button and also make sure you're subscribed to the channel. So Foxy,
hey,
let's
just a
get
couple,
into.
just real quick,
Go ahead.
for the chat. Just anyone, if anyone is new to the chat, do me a favor, please give a thumbs up. And any of you in the Sports Vibe Nation that may not be able to make the broadcast today, but you watch the replay, do me a favor. It's the first time. Put a thumbs up in the comments so we can give you the proper shout out and hello, welcome you properly to the Sports Vibe Nation. So thank you. Corey Lee, thank you so much for the shout out. Rich Boy, Big Oda third, Gregory Lee, like you said, Henry Perez, first last. You mentioned Delano, one of our favorites. So besides, like he said, to please hit that thumbs up, that like button, hit that subscribe button. Please turn on that all notification reminder. And please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. And last but not least, to Delano, Lex the Destroyer, Ron Cowan, to the best mods in the land. We appreciate all you do. Annuity 25, shout out to you, my friend. So thanks, Keith. Just wanted to get the public service stuff in.
No problem, Foxy. Do what you got to do. Also, it looks like Dan Marrero is new. He threw up a thumbs up. So shout out to you, Dan. Thank you for joining SV Nation. We appreciate you. Thank you for all the support.
Yep. Black University, good to see you again. Thanks so much for your support. But Dan, one of the great decisions you make, we know that you'll love it and you'll go to sleep tonight with a smile on your face and you'll wake up tomorrow with a smile on your face. So that's one of the big things we do. So let's rock and roll.
Yeah, we're ramping up for the new season, even though we never really stopped here at Sports Vibes TV. So it shouldn't take much to get back into the swing of things. Now, Foxy, let's get into a real position battle, something that I think might be interesting this preseason. And it's going to be the backup two. Now, Emmanuel Quickley, for most, they think that he's entrenched in that position. But we went out and we drafted two players that could challenge him for minutes at that spot. We've got Mcbride, and we've also got Quentin Grimes. So, Foxy, let me know. Do you think that Emmanuel Quickley is really in trouble? Do you think he really has some young bucks gunning for his job, or do you think that he's safe for the most part, at least until we get into a few weeks into the season?
Well, there's a lot of parts to the question.
I apologize.
No, I love it. Are there young bucks vying for his job? Absolutely. Both Deuce and Quentin. But I think he's safe in the sense that I think Tibbs is a really loyal person. If you prove yourself to him, he's not going to just give you up like that. So I think he believes in a real strong, tight, 10-man rotation. And as long as you first and foremost, what we talk about, you play defense, Tibbs, that's where the world starts and begins, is on the defensive front, and you do what you're supposed to do on the court. So I think Quickley is safe to start the season. I think, everything that he's worked on, the way he was spectacular at 25th draft choice in the first round, came in, everyone thought he was a second round pick, and he just, took over. Knicks shocked everyone with his 3-point and his joy for the game. And, like you said, he's a microwave off the bench. So I think that he's coming in. It's him for to lose, but I don't think he's in a situation. He can create a situation by not playing great D, or, he shot 24% in the summer league. So if he's not hitting his shots and he's not playing the D, then the problem starts. But I'm thinking positive. I think that his confidence after last season, he worked out a whole lot. You dropped a great video a week or so ago showing he working on his left hand. So I look at that the kids are going to be meeting Deuce and Grimes. I look at it this scenario at the point guard position. We talked about Kemba and with D Rose. I'd like them to do about 22 minutes each. So that's 4 minutes, and let Quick play those 4 minutes there. But for minutes management, which is critical for both Deuce and with Rose, um, for injuries, God forbid, an injury comes along, and in those games where unfortunately they get in foul trouble, that's where I think there'll be opportunities situationally to start the season for, let's say, at the one for a grind for a Deuce to come in to spell somebody who has the night off, spell somebody who has an injury, or spell somebody that has some foul issues coming in.
Yeah, I think Quick will be safe too. It just depends how he's going to look out there on the court, like you said, defensively, because we've got two options behind him where we know defense is most likely not going to be an issue. And in summer league, we saw that they can shoot the three as good, if not better. They may not shoot it as deep as IQ does, but when it comes to efficiency, they're as efficient as IQ shooting the three. So Tibbs, he likes to lean on players that have that defensive grit, that defensive grind, a defensive intensity, and we saw a lot of that from McBride. We've seen it from him in college, and we've also seen it in summer league. So now, if he's able to translate that over into the preseason, where he's going up against legitimate NBA competition, then I think he can start knocking at the door and trying to get some minutes. But like you said, Tibbs is someone that's very loyal, and I expect, well, we can see he's very loyal. Look how Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson seem to follow him from location to location. So I see him putting Emmanuel Quickley in the best position to hold on to that spot, and it's all going to be up to how Quick is able to perform out there on the defensive side. Because I think from the workout videos I've uploaded on the channel, if you haven't seen them, you can go check them out. He's been working on his game. He's been working on his left. He's been working on his mid-range. So I think when we see him offensively out there on the court, he's going to look like a more finished product. So I think defense is just where we're going to have to look for areas of improvement to see if he's going to be able to hold on to that second unit spot.
And one of the most important things that he has been doing, and some of the footage we've seen, is lifting weights. So that'll help him, keep that spot. So many people took him to a hole at will. He just didn't have the strength coming in, but it's a process. So he worked very hard on getting stronger. And I read that people have seen him. It's absolutely noticeable how much bigger he is than his rookie year.
He's chiseled.
Yeah. Well, he was chiseled, but chiseled thin. Now he's chiseled muscle, I think.
Yeah.
So, what we were saying before, that Classic added 10 pounds of muscle. So I think I'd like to see what his weight is, but, he has a great wingspan. He has a 6'9", or everybody talks about Deuce's wingspan. Quickley has an excellent wingspan also. So I think that, and the thing I like about it is that in the summer league, where everybody's like, make him a point guard, he has so much on his mind. And I think when we talked about him playing sometimes in a frenzied mode, but when he plays with D Rose, I think D Rose takes some of that pressure off him. D Rose will be the one with the ball. He'll be the one that's penetrating. He's the one that bringing down. And like I said, I love Quick in catch and shoot situations. Let D Rose penetrate, let them collapse, kick it out Quick for a catch and shoot from three. And usually, I'll round it off. He's a 40% shooter. So I like to see that get better. But if he's catch and shoot, he squares up beautifully, and all the other things that we talked about, getting those a mid-range game instead of those 15-foot floaters from the foul line and a few other things. But we saw him working on that. And I think those things, his shot selection, he'll be much more mature. And with him not having the pressure to be a point guard with D Rose, I think it'll only make him better, less to worry about, and what we talked about on defense. If, you look at Tibbs' teams historically, he had very good defensive teams, but not, like top 5 defensive players, because everyone committed to the scheme. Everyone's in the position they're supposed to be. And that's everything. So he's studying, he's looking film, he's a gym rat, which we love. So I look at Quickley having a good year, but if he doesn't, it's not going to be because Tibbs has a quick hook. It's because Quickley didn't deliver and next man up.
Yeah, and we've got a deep team, so people can definitely get lost in the rotation. Just ask players like Kevin Knox and Frank Nitti.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then it goes the second way. So that I was just talking about the one, and then at the two, where I think he'll, like I said, he'll be the backup to RJ at the two. I look at RJ getting. I'd like RJ to get around 33 minutes, maybe have a few less minutes this year, and have a Quick at 15 minutes at the two. But again, if he has any injury Quick, if he has any shooting woes, etc., I could see Burks, with Fournier getting minutes now, being the starter at three, taking, Burks had a lot more minutes last year, on paper than because of the addition of Fournier that he'll get this year. So, so Fournier gets that same around 33 minutes as a starter at the three. Then Burks is going to get around 15, but we can get more minutes at the two if Quick's not doing so. Quick has a lot of competition
mhm.
besides Grimes stepping in. Grimes could step in as an immediate, defensive help. He's very good, and he's as we talked about, an elite catch and shoot 3-point shooter. But Burks has as we saw last week at his shot chart and everything else, he has a 3-level scorer. He's mature, but again, we talked about the injury, so everything that's going to happen this year for these young kids, it's all going to be situational about either minutes management. It's going to be either an injury that's going to force them in, or it's going to be just games where there's foul trouble, or besides them playing garbage time.
Yeah, and another thing you mentioned with Burks, he can also be a secondary playmaker out there as well. So if
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
if Quick isn't giving you that, and he's not playing well, Burks is a weapon. When he's actually playing within the offense, within the team, there's a lot of ways he can attack. Like you said, he's a 3-level scorer, and he can also set his teammates up. So Foxy, just want to look at the chat. We got Elijah. He's do some thumbs up as well if he's new. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed and smash that like button. Thank you for supporting the channel. Definitely appreciate it.
My
Uh,
guy Ala Wise, hope all is well. Hope he had a nice week.
Otherwise,
Yeah, I call him my field
salute,
producer
salute.
because he's always asking fantastic. Hey, our friend Kenrick Adams, who joined us for the first time last week, is back. Hi, Kenrick. Hope all is well. Temessa Gray, Ronald, I can't wait for that next season come up. My prediction is 49-32. Hi, Temessa. If this is your first time, please give us a thumbs out so we can give you a proper shout out. I came in at 47, and you came in at what number?
I believe
For the
48. I
48.
kind of
Yep.
hedge my bets. I say 45 to 48 just so leave some
Yeah.
room for error.
Yeah, yeah, that's a JD Burger light. So exactly. So Frederick Bedencourt, IQ got all-star potential. He does. I'm looking, as we talked about. We'd love him to be our, Lou Will, our as Keith says, our microwave
Microwave.
off the bench. Hey, real quick, Dripmore. Hey, Dripmore, good to see you. Last week when I watched the replay, I saw you give a shout out, and I missed you because everything goes back quick. We have 119 in right now. So Dripmore, you've been a wonderful supporter for a long time. Thank you so much. Same thing with Stafford Don, a good friend for a long time. Hope all is well with you and your family. Anthony Vasquez, a great difference this year is going to be in the injury department because we got guys that can play the guard position. Couldn't agree with you more. It's a good problem to have with all these guys versus some of the things that we went through over the last few years. That's for sure. Alawise, 52 wins, first in the land. I like the way you think. Hey,
Pretty optimistic there.
yeah, absolutely. But like we talked about, this is a dangerous team if we can stay healthy. And that second team, I think, is one of the best second teams in basketball. That, as we talked about, a lot of great teams have all their money on their first team. And then the second team, when they're taking a breather, they just don't have the money to put out a great second team. We have an excellent second team. So, which is great because if something happens on first team, we can juggle and, with Tibbs and everything else. So I'm really excited about the chances of us obviously not only having a better season than last, but hitting the wins and getting ourselves a good placement for the playoffs. Stephen Fox said, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we on the same comment. He says, I love comparing rookie IQ to rookie Jamal Murray. Both 6'3" UK combo guards with defensive issues coming out. Difference is lottery picks. Get the keys in time. You like the comparison? I don't know about play style.
Yeah, I was about to say their play style is a little bit is definitely different. I thought Jamal was a touch bigger than that, but yeah, and Jamal I think was an 8th pick.
I think Jamal was 6'4". No.
Yeah, he's a little thicker, no doubt about that, and he has more of a 3-level a scoring game than Q at this point in time. But hopefully. He can come back, Jamal. That series a couple of seasons ago in the bubble against Donovan was unbelievable, man. Shot for
shot. Going to Philly.
Yeah, 50 points. Who's going to Philly?
Jamal Murray.
Oh. What do you mean?
Ben Simmons is the Nuggets are a likely destination.
Oh, I was about to say, did something happen I didn't hear about?
No.
Oh, I was about to say, oh my God, I didn't realize a trade went down.
No, just dropping my hot take.
Yeah. Something's is going to have to happen there, but I also don't think they're going to give him up for nothing.
Ben Simmons isn't nothing. If they think Ben Simmons is that player that gets him over the top.
Yeah, but I don't know what they can do. The teammates wanted, said they were going to fly out on their own to talk to him, and he said, "Don't come out here, man." So if he doesn't even want to talk to his, the teammates, forget about management or coaching. If the players can't say, "Come on, man, we can make something special out of this," that looks like it's a done deal, man. Yep. That's really forcing them in a tough situation. Hey, real quick, a shout out to Hard Will. Shout out for the love of the game with Hector Beauchamp, a good friend of mine. Hard Will, excellent takes. Really knows his hoops. He comes at it from different ways. He knows his hoops. He's also into training, and also Lawrence, Mr. Bayberry, as I like to call him, Worldwide L. So if you haven't subscribed for the love of the game, please check it out. Really excellent takes. Great guys, great show, great friends. Check him out, please.
Dan is saying, what about these crazy trade rumors I'm hearing, like John Wall and Cat? Well, Stephon Bondi kind of got everybody in an uproar, suggesting this crazy trade. Cat for Julius Randle and RJ. Who says no? Clearly, the Knicks say no. I'm not giving up.
Yeah, we're getting to that point, where they're creating just clickbait and just doing stuff like, after we just did all this, why in the world would we get John Wall at this point?
Yeah, exactly. Get involved in the John Wall talks.
And
Cat
also
made a little bit more sense, but not for Julius Randle and RJ.
I was about to say it made a little more sense until you read a couple lines in. It says, yeah, the proposed trade is RJ and Randle. Then stop right there. Yeah, why do you even create an article like this? Come on, please. We're not giving up those two guys for Cat. Not today, not tomorrow, not any day. So come on, please. Doesn't that drive you crazy? That's why I think we have value, because so many of the things, by the way, shout out to you, Keys. Folks, last week, my brother, Keys, put together the thumbnail and put together the show that we did last week called Knicks, what was called the Knicks Mob?
Knicks Bench Mob 2.0.
Knicks Bench Mob 2.0. And this Thursday, I will not say their name, but a publication came out this week, Thursday. So last Sunday night, Keith crafts that title for the thumbnail. And then Thursday, an article comes out in one of the publications that says Knicks Bench Mob. So this is not the first time that we know that we know they're watching us. Some of them are cool, and we talked about Ian Begley following and stuff like that. They're on the up and up, and we respect that. We give shout outs, great stuff. But there's these other people that for quite some time that have done this, and it happened last year to me with another one for a writer for the New York Post that I did something, and 3 days later it was the title of his his column. So thank you for the imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but that really hit us this week that they can't have the nerve to come out with the bench mob. I was like, we had that since Sunday, and you came out on Thursday. So shout out to you, Keith. You doing some good stuff. People stealing stuff from you.
Well, so is life. But I'm sure if we look somewhere, somebody else has mentioned the Knicks bench mob at some point in time. So it is
Ixnay
what
and the
it is.
Wixnay. Shh.
It is what it is. As long as I'm contributing to the Knicks community, it's all good. No biggie on this side. All right, let's see. Kendrick Adams. Here we go with the bluster. Kendrick Adams is saying, "I'm not trading Randall." That's well. I wouldn't go that far. There's players that I would consider.
Yeah, I would too, but at this point in time, we have so many needs. Yeah, it's like let's just build the foundation, the nucleus of the team. We have two parts. We have RJ that I think that you heard me. I'm so excited about seeing this kid, and like I said, adding Kemba and adding Fournier, Keith and I behind the scenes, we looked at it and went, "Whoa, it's 114% usage. People are going to have to give up touches." I don't want RJ giving up touches. I want to go all in on this kid and see what we have. So RJ and Randall, and God willing, Mitch gets healthy. We have a really good nucleus. We're just a couple pieces away. Whether in a trade and whether getting lucky with a draft choice or something else, we'll see in free agency in the future. But yeah, let's not trade away. And Cat's never won anywhere, so why do you want to get somebody? Yeah. So, and also get a big guy that shoots from the perimeter. I want a big guy down low besides shooting from the perimeter. So,
unless your name is Jokic.
Unless your name is Jokic, and that only comes around once in a while, man.
Yeah. All right. So, Foxy, let's talk about the point guard battle. It's not really a battle, but we brought in Kemba. We have Derrick Rose, and no one's really specified who's going to play where. So I think most people believe Derrick Rose will come off the bench, but there is a segment of Knicks fans that think Derrick Rose should start. Where do you fall? Do you think Derrick Rose is the better option as the starting point guard?
Pardon me. I do and I don't. I do that as we talked about, that Derrick's break him down, driving to the basket, breaking down the defense is really prototype Tibbs type of point guard. But we saw what D Rose does for that second team. I don't think we should, what he did for up leveling Quick's game, for Obi's game, for what he does, that I'd like to keep him on the second team. But my real thought about is, so let's say, as I said earlier, that in a 48 minutes, trying to keep those guys fresh for the year, maybe 22 minutes for Kemba and 22 minutes for D Rose, with 4 minutes hopefully for, just for a Quick to step in. But my question to you is, who do you think the closer is going to be? One of the things you brought up last week, and all of us in the chat shout out, is that I'd love to be a fly on the wall watching these guys. So they're all nice. They're all saying everything. But believe me, Kemba wants to close the game out. D Rose wants to close the game out. IQ, all these pro guys. So who do you think the closer is going to be?
The closer? I think, depending on health, Kemba would be out there as the point guard to close. I think we've already seen Kemba be clutch. We've all seen Kemba be clutch at Madison Square Garden for UConn. So we already know Kemba's built for that. So
I think all those Bronx boys are.
Yeah, right. He's built for the moment. So if Kemba's healthy, I think with the ball in his hand, he's probably the one taking the last shot too.
Yep. I think I agree with you all the way. So, but that's one of the things to think about, that a lot of people haven't really talked about who's going to be the closer. But but you know what? It's nice to have a backup for D Rose. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, do you think there's an opportunity, the same thing to the chat, we'll get to you in a second, bud, and there's a super chat I want you to hit. Do you think there's times that we'll see Kemba and D Rose on the court together?
That I'm not sure, because I feel like Kemba's kind of undersized, and Derrick Rose isn't the biggest point guard out there as well. So I don't think defensively you're going to see the both of them out there. I think you're going to see somebody out there, whether that be Quick, RJ, that can be a little bit bigger and with IQ getting a little bit stronger, be out there guarding the opposing teams too. I don't think we'll see both of them much.
Yep. You want to get that super chat?
Definitely. I want to say shout out to Michael Parker with the $10 super chat. Appreciate your support of the channel. He's saying salute Knicks Nation. Facts. Salute Knicks Nation. We need Knicks basketball ASAP because some of the media is going crazy. So the quicker we get some actual news to talk about, some basketball to talk about, the less we'll have to deal with some of the Knicks for clicks. But salute to you, Michael Parker. Thank you for supporting the channel. Appreciate all the support.
All-time friend, an old friend, George Alvernia. Thanks for so much for joining, George. Hope all is well with you and the family. He had a baby last year, so it was cool watching him and being excited. So Willie Gibson, Knicks will win 51 games. Yep, you're in the vicinity, 47, and Keese was in that 48. And Maverick 2190, shout out to you, my friend. Hope all is well. Gregory Lee, you can't have Rose and Kemba close because of defense Lee opposes an issue in closing. Yep, that's a great point my guy Keese made. Absolutely. That's definitely it'd be an issue. Staffordon, I think it depends on the matchup. Yep. But I think it comes down to the defense that on paper it looks good until you realize that's why last week I said that I could see a Deuce Derek Rose backcourt, because of Deuce being such a good defensive player that he can compensate. You have to have one guy back there, that they can, that's a stud on the defensive side. Exactly.
What you call it? Big Task is saying he wants the Knicks to destroy the Hawks.
I think
we'll have our opportunities.
Yeah, and especially after Trey pulled his WWE stuff, wants to be the villain.
Right? And that was the Madison Square Garden too, right?
Yeah, it was actually.
He's enjoying himself. I mean, if you go out there and have that type of performance on the biggest stage in the NBA, then
Well, we haven't had a guy since Reggie Miller that wants to, be the villain. Exactly.
Well, LeBron is kind of like a villain. He was out there disrespecting the guard and playing flip cup on the sideline and doing all this kind of nonsense. So he's a pseudo villain. I don't know why he doesn't get the same level of vitriol, but
yeah, I agree. But Trey's the one that's taking it by the reins right now, and you know what? I love that because that gives us. Anytime somebody gives us something for the chalkboard or the board in the locker room saying, this guy's dissing us. Bulletin board, thank you, material that, all right, he wants to treat it like that. Let's, and like I said, let's be physical. Let's play New York basketball. They're not going to let us play the basketball of Detroit Pistons era, but you got 6 fouls. Make sure they count, man. I'm old school that way. I don't want us getting to fights, but I don't mind leaving black and blues either.
Make sure they feel us when they leave the game, whether we win or lose. Yeah. As long as we're felt.
Exactly.
Let's see. It says Trae Young is a fake wrestling villain.
I think everybody in wrestling is a fake wrestling villain.
All right. Foxy, I got some stats for Kemba and our guy D Rose. Just look at the different point guards. Now, I'm pretty sure you said you expect you kind of tiptoed around it. You never said who was going to start.
Kemba.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, Kemba only because D Rose. I think he's already tight with that second team, and let's not take that away. I'm not sure Kemba could do the same for the second team that D Rose does.
Yeah, and I think especially when we were looking at his shot chart and kind of looking at the player Kemba has, turned
3-point-itis.
Yeah, with his shooting, I think it'll work well if he doesn't need the ball in his hands too much. He'll be a nice piece working off of Julius Randle if we decide to continue to have Julius Randle be the focal point. He's going to still be the focal point, but be the primary ball handler, I would guess. He's typically in charge of penetrating and kicking it out to open players. So if he's going to continue to operate in that role, I think Kemba Walker being a shooter, someone that shot what 36% from three, and I think Derrick Rose, if you saw what he was able to do when he was out there with Quick, Obi, they already have that familiarity. And then Leon Rose, when he was interviewed, he's saying one of the and Tibbs, one of the big things they wanted flexibility, but they still wanted to bring in, a lot of the same players. So we have that culture that we're building. And with Derrick Rose already spending a bunch of time with some of these young guys in the second unit, I think I don't want to make waves. I don't want the second unit trying to learn how to play together as well as the starters trying to learn how to play together. We can go out there. Our second unit is already going to hit the ground running, and then it's just going to be Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker trying to mesh with, you would hope, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, and RJ. That's my thought process as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. If they can stay healthy, and I saw this weird stat on Derrick Rose that his first 4 seasons, which covered his MVP season, his Rookie of the Year season, and 3 All-Star appearances per 36 minutes, he averaged 20.5 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 46.4 field goal percentage, and 31% from 3. The past 3 seasons, so that was his first 4 seasons in the league. The last 3 seasons, he's averaged 23.2 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per game, 6.4 assists per game, 48% from the field, and 35% from 3. So it's showing how his game evolved. He went through, that dark period of the injuries and trying to get his game back, but his game has evolved. So it's showing that his stats the last 4 years, actually per 36 minutes, equals what he's done, when he was the D Rose. So that's, if we could keep him healthy and he can keep playing that. One of the things I didn't touch on, folks, when we always do our shows and we go over it, we watch the reviews, and, we always want the shows to be the best for you and most entertaining. One of the things I was remiss in talking about Rose last year was he had COVID. So for a guy to come back from, that is it attacks your respiratory system. So yeah, absolutely. When we saw this guy, drained in Atlanta, and after 72 games, it was after 72 games plus COVID. So I think he's going to be even fresher. Now he's had time to recover. By the way, all the Knicks have their COVID, have their shots. Did you see that? Everyone's vaxxed.
Yep. I want to see what the Nets are going to do.
You know what? But I was thinking, I wanted to throw it your way into our family, the SV Nation. One of the weird things I thought about, even though they're all vaxxed, I thought about the Yankees this year. That I think it was Rizzo or somebody had to go on the COVID protocol. He had his vaccination. So
a bunch of them had to go on protocols, and they were quote unquote vaxxed.
Yeah, they were vaxxed, but they still got it. The only difference is they're not going to get sick, God willing, because they had the vaccine. So they're not going to display the symptoms of not having a vaccine. So even though they were positive, so it's a weird thing that, I'm glad everyone's vaxxed, but it still doesn't mean that we can't have a hiccup.
Players miss game.
Yeah, somebody missing a game or 2 or 3. Like we've seen on the Jets crowd, the slot receiver Crowder and a few others, that they're out longer than you expect. So I forgot to mention that last week or about D Rose. And it's a huge point for the guy, at his age coming back. So I think he's going to be fresher. He won't have that burden. So I look at him to be even better than he was last year without having, that physical malady that really impacted him.
And also, speaking about Derrick Rose, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, he's actually been in the gym with Julius Randle. Have you seen? There's some foot. It's my fault. I should have had it uploaded by now, but I was trying to get ready for the live stream. But there's some footage of him and Julius Randle in the gym working on their games with Julius Randle's trainer. So Derrick Rose and Julius Randle are kind of working on that chemistry as well. So I want to see how they look in the 2-man game, because there were some pick and roll opportunities between them where it looked real good, looked real smooth. So if they're just working in the offseason or heading into camp, they're already building that familiarity with each other, then I'm excited to see how we're going to look with both of those guys on the same page.
Yeah, I love Derrick Rose. Not only is he a class act, but he's just like the epitome of cool to me. I just, Giants had a guy years ago, Mark Bavaro, their tight end. And when he caught a touchdown and he just dropped the ball, and Parcells says, I like a guy that acts like he's been there before than some guy that's going making all these things. D Rose is the same way, man. He just is just so slick. He's like a quiet assassin. He just kills you, but he doesn't have to get in your face and do all these other things. I just love his style. And I just love what he brings to the kids and everything else. So between him and Kemba, there's not a better graduate school for Deuce and for Quick and for Rokas and Luca and everybody else that's looking on. And like you said, oh my goodness, we see them with their nice smiles, but they want to beat each other, man. And that's what you need. They get in that practice court. They want to show that I'm the one, so I love them being hungry and them knowing that they're part of something special here. And anybody that can lead the Knicks deep into the playoffs, they're gonna become a folk hero here in New York. So they have a great opportunity to become a legend by just staying healthy, playing team ball, and being the best they can be, and making their players around them the best they can be.
Want to give a quick shout out, Foxy. Mike Notes, he's saying this is his first time. Thank you for supporting the show and pulling up. We stream on Sundays at 9:30. So make sure you're here next Sunday as well. We'll have another phenomenal show put together for you.
Yeah, we have 163 people in the chat. Thank you so much. We super appreciate it. We have 58 likes. So do me a favor, folks. We have a big favor to ask. Can you please hit that thumbs up like button? Can you please hit that subscribe button? And please hit that all reminder notification so you don't miss out on any of the great content from Sports Vibe and my brother Keese. And also, please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. And last but not least, shout out to the best mods in the land for all you do. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Hey, Nick Gay, I could not have said that better, Foxy. Great point. Thank you, Nick. Hope all is well with you and the family. Nick's a great guy. I love his takes. Mike Notes, great to be on the chat. I'm a first timer, like you said. Hey, Mike, really appreciate it. We'll get to a point a little later on. Just let us know. We'll open it up for all types of comments from you guys.
Yeah, so Foxy, previously you talked about Luca, and it looks like Luca's on the hot seat. We got a few players vying for that 15th roster spot. You got Luca, you've got Bacon. We just recently signed Selden, who played with us in Summer League. I was able to see him. I was able to see him out there in Vegas. So who do you think is going to end up getting that 15th roster spot? Do you think it'll be a player like Bacon that could be a prototypical guard for Tom Thibodeau, or do you think it's going to be the European prospect, Luca Vildoza? It throws me off. I say European prospect because he played overseas in
Argentina.
Europe, and he's really from South America. So every time I say it, it throws me off.
No, I know. Join the crowd. A great question. It all depends on how much Luca wants it. Like we talked about, Noah and other things. We've spent crazy money in the past so the contract that Luca has, it's not something that, that would be a hurdle for us to cut him. And I think that we have, from a guaranteed money, we can cut him in a while, but I don't know. Bacon, he's not the greatest shooter, but he is a dog. Those guys that go to Florida State and stuff like that, they're tough on D, and I don't know about Luca, so it's all going to be in training camp. Who really wants it? Like we talked about, Luca, his body language wasn't the greatest. To his defense, he only played 13 minutes. So, folks, we really don't have a sample to really grasp to think of it, see Luca's game. But I will say, I love Kobe. God, rest in peace. Kobe said a few years ago that he had game, that he thought Luca had game. And, I believe in Kobe. So I hope they give him an opportunity. He has great size. He has beautiful size. We don't have a big 6'4" point guard on this roster. He's a big guy. So we missed that with Peyton. So we'll see if he can play himself onto it. But I like that because it's going to show whether or not he's New York ready. If he's not ready, if he can't turn it on now, then it's good. We're going to cut our losses early. That, as we talked about, there's only, you have to have the right personality to be able to play in Madison Square Garden, play for the New York fans and the New York media. And he looks a little timid. So we'll find out real quick. And Deuce and Rokas won't be here. He's in Barcelona, but everybody else is just like saying, bring it, man. So if you don't want to bring it, they'll just eat him alive.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Rokas is in Spain, and Luca was in Spain up until until what, last week Thursday is when he came over, and he was getting some rehab on his foot, his ankle area, but looked like he was out there with a friend of his enjoying his time. So hopefully he wasn't just doing rehab. He was actually looking at the playbook, getting better acclimated to the plays. That was one of the things he said in the interview. He said, "I'm new here. Some of the sets that we run are similar to what I was, playing or running over for Baskonia." And now he really couldn't be on the court, I guess, because of the injury. They said they prescribed him rehab and rest. So if he's coming in now and he's healthy, I would hope, even though I tweeted out last week as well that from his camp, there still may be some issues with that ankle. So is he even going to make it through camp if he's not healthy? That's going to be the number one question. Is he able to get on the court with the fluid in his ankle? And
Yeah.
if he's not, like you said, it's a non-guaranteed contract, so it wouldn't be an issue for them to cut him and then even replace him to get back to the 20. But so, hopefully he's healthy, because from what I've seen with Luka, he has the ability to create for himself, and he has the ability to find his teammates and put them in the position to score.
He
The
could shoot
issue is
threes. Yeah.
he can shoot the three. The issue is we really haven't been able to see that. He hasn't put that on display. I don't know if it was the fact that he had to travel around the world multiple times. I'm not sure if it was the ankle that was an issue in the Olympics, but we really haven't seen the same Luka I saw when I was looking at his film from Baskonia. I mean, we saw glimpses of it. He was able to put a move on Draymond Green. He was able to put a move on Darius Garland. The same Darius Garland that Steph Curry says is going to be a potential star in this league. So we've seen him perform against NBA talent in the Olympics. It's just as that Olympic series started to go on, it just his play and his confidence just started to dip. So will he be able to build back that confidence? Will he be able to return to full health and be able to show that he can contribute to this team? It's all going to lie in the medical records, but I'm sure he has the talent to do so. It may just be more mental with him and having to kind of look at the situation now, because the situation now is completely different than when he first signed. When he first signed, it looked like he had a opportunity to contribute, and now we're looking at a team that drafted, like we said,
Stacked.
Grimes, McBride. We brought in Kemba.
Kemba.
We're bringing back Derrick Rose, and then and that's just the point guard, because Luka, for the most part, plays the two on his teams. He can play the one, but he plays off ball.
His buddy in Denver, yeah.
Facu is normally one that runs point for the Argentinian
Yep.
national team. So now you have IQ as well at the two. You have RJ, who's going to solidify at the two. There's not really many minutes to be divvied up to Luka. So, I'm looking for him. He's going to have to take minutes. Nothing's going to be given to him at this point.
For my throat, sir, I'm just drinking some hot stuff. I think the biggest issue with Luka is whether he can handle the athleticism in the NBA. We saw, and Scotty Barnes will give anybody, even not playing 1 minute yet of a real NBA game, but 6'9", 6'8", with that 7-foot wingspan and great on defense. Luka didn't like seeing Scotty in summer league, but there's such great defenders, and just the athleticism is off the chart in the NBA. And that's when you see the guys from Europe and stuff, and they come here, they're just stunned. Like, I thought I played in a premier league in the world, and I come to the NBA and I'm still stunned by the actual speed and strength of these guys. And like we said, just their athleticism. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to have to see, whether he can handle, the unbelievable athleticism of an NBA player.
Yeah, he might be another player that might need a screen to get over or to get some separation. But once he's able to get separation, he's able to make the right reads and get his own shot. So his ceiling might be a backup point guard. if that's the case. But that's exactly what I predicted when I was looking at his film. He'd be a solid backup point guard, and he could even be a trade asset if he gets healthy.
Ding, ding,
And
ding, ding. I was going to say, I
yeah,
think that's another thing, that he can be a trade asset that I'm sure other people had them on their chart. He's been around, like we said. So, and he's still relatively young. What's he, 26?
yeah, right on that.
Yeah. So, there's still time for him, but he has a lot to do. But from a long-term standpoint, if he doesn't, this is about development. So if he doesn't get any burn, and he comes back next year, now he has Rokas on top of all the guys you just mentioned to go against, and he really didn't have a chance to develop because he didn't get any minutes. So I think he's still eligible to go to the G League, though.
Potentially, if they'd have to switch up his contract, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they have that option in the current contract.
Yep. Hey, quick shout out to Chef NYK. I hope all is well, my friend. Good to see you. Luka was injured in Summer League. Not really fair to judge him with ankle issues. Yep, we agree, Chef, that, like I said, he only played 13 minutes, so it's very difficult to assess that. But like Keith was saying, we have such a stacked lineup of point guards. His opportunities are going to just be it's very difficult for him to get any time, in the preseason and stuff like that. He'll probably just get a couple of minutes here or there if he can, if that ankle is, ankles, as the cutting is brutal in the NBA. You can't cut. And also on defense, that lateral movement.
And he's already
toast.
not the greatest defender.
And he's not he's not the greatest
they told
defender.
him, you're not a good defender. You got to get better.
Yeah. Marlon Tan, he doesn't have the killer instincts. Hey, Marlon, if this is your first time joining us, do me a favor, give and Keith a favor, do a thumbs up so we can give you a proper shout out. But thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. So Foxy, chat, we went through our segments so far, and this is a part of the show where we want to call the Sports Vibes Lounge. This is where you're able to ask us some questions, vibe with us, and just chop it up as we end the show. You can submit some Knicks questions. Maybe I'll even do a mailbag on Twitter, get some engagement on there as well. So submit some questions for the Sports Vibes TV Lounge. Let's see.
It's that time of night. Bring what you bring, do what you do, just chill out.
Get a nice
chillax, get a smile on your face, and hang with the family. But ask us anything about the Knicks, Giants, Jets, MMA, Yankees.
Yeah, we had a pretty big fight this weekend. Volkanovski versus Ortega.
Ortega. You know what? And I said this off the air. I'm a huge mixed martial arts fan, and Volkanovski, I have not shown the respect. His two fights against Holloway, I thought Holloway was going to beat him. And there were questionable, some people on the decision and stuff, but he still won. And I took Ortega last night, and nope. So I'll say this about Ortega. Everybody looked at his face. That guy's not walking for like 3 days. He took so many leg kicks last night. It was hurting me, and I wasn't even getting them. So Nick Diaz, that was a sad fight, folks. Nothing's worse than boxing and in mixed martial arts. For a fighter that was once, top level fighter, to be just a shell of themselves, and boy, was he a shell of himself last night, and Lawler's a shell of himself. So, but it was a shame.
Well, I think Lawler looked a lot better than Diaz. I think Lawler still has more gas in the tank.
Yeah, I know, but that's showing to me how gone Diaz is. Because the last couple of fights prior to that, Lawler had nothing. He got smoked. So for him to look that good against Diaz, it just is like, and Diaz said, I haven't fought in a long time, but he looked overweight. He just looked like Jim Miller to me. And when I first looked at him, I'm like, God, his body, his cadence and everything is like, God, Shevchenko. How do you say?
Valentina.
Shevchenko.
Yeah, Shevchenko. There we go.
Yeah, that boy, she's like a spy, man. She's like out of a James Bond movie. She is brutal. She got mean jits. She got great striking. Keith and I were talking. She had two really close fights with Nunez, that Nunez won them both, but they were split decisions. They were questionable. So I don't know if this is going to lead up to the third fight, but there's really not a lot of other people in the mixed martial arts right now, especially so that would be a great fight. But the next big fight is in November, and
I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go with my little brother.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But so I loved watching it yesterday. But Ortega, we talked about it. There's certain fighters like Tony Ferguson and everything that are really good fighters, but they can never get the belt. And I think Ortega may be one of those fighters.
Yeah, Ortega's definitely going to probably be looked at as a gatekeeper moving forward. I think last night showed that he's not on the level of a Holloway or a Volkanovski. He went out there and he kicked the Korean Zombie's butt, But when you
spinning
look at
elbows and stuff.
when you look at the elites, he's just not there in that division. But he's still going to be able to make a name for himself. But I just don't see him getting to the top of the hill at this point.
Yeah. Got a question from Dan Marrera. Foxy, I know I asked already, but have you spoken with Ron Cleveland? If so, how is he doing? I spoke to Ron a couple of weeks ago. I had like a 2.5 hour conversation with him. The funny part, we never talked New York Knicks. We just talked about life. He's a good friend of mine. He's doing really well. His mom is out of the hospital, so Mama Joyce is doing better. His daughter got married, so it's a joyous time for him. Ron's doing well. Ron, if you're listening, we love you. Shout out. And we sure miss that man. It's not the same. It was like religion. Look at the clock, 5:30. Oh, it's time for Ron. Let me see how our boy is doing. So there's a void, but we love you, Ron. Hope all is well. But he also has something very, very exciting going on in his life right now, him and his wife. So he's having a joyous time. So couldn't happen to a better person. William Callier, love your show. Keep up the good work. Let's go, Knicks. Hey, William, if this is your first time, please give us a thumbs up. We'd like to give you a proper shout out, but thank you for the kind words. We try.
Bamboo Mizik says, I catch the show late, but what positions you see us finishing the season? And do you see Deuce Grimes getting some significant minutes this year if Kemba and Rose are under load management?
Nope, I don't see them getting significant minutes. I see Tibbs juggling with the 10-man rotation, like we were saying, and maybe Quick getting a few minutes. I think they may have more minutes at the end of the second half of the season, but I think first half he's going to go full. The first 10 games, I'd love us, as we said, to go 8-2, 7-3. And what was the first part of the question?
What position do you see us finishing the season?
I
guess that means in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, a fifth or sixth. I see us in the fifth or sixth, 47 wins. So depending on how everyone, I see us in the fifth, sixth position, approximately around there.
Yeah, same here. And I don't think Tibbs is gonna operate with the under the mindset that he's gonna load manage these guys. I don't really see Tibbs as a load management type of coach. And we've already seen at the press conference, he said Kemba's gonna be playing back-to-backs. So I really don't see him putting them in a position where they're going to be able to be load managed. He's going to play them if he wants to win that game, he's going to put them in. I really don't see him giving them a break like that.
I love talking to you. You always provoke such thought. Pardon me, folks. My voice gets so dry. But I had this thought during the week about what you just said about him not load managing. And I said, let me make a note for the show and share it with the family what their thoughts are. A couple of years ago, Dwayne Casey won Coach of the Year, and he was out a year later. He got fired a year later. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That if Tibbs does not load manage these guys properly, and this goes up to the same thing with Julius and RJ, besides Kemba and Rose at their age. Julius was exhausted at the end of last year, and not that we had any leverage at the forward position because of Obi learning. And I'll get back to a question that I saw a second ago from Kenrick asking, can Obi get 25 minutes a game? But Tibbs was Coach of the Year, but if this year is not well managed, and we do make the playoffs. Tibbs has not really ever shown that he's a great playoff coach yet. That Johnny Bryant could step up and shock the world if we don't perform the way that we want, or the players. Some people have questions that we, like you said, that we should have used our head more than that old school mentality of just drive the players into the ground. We should have we have to load manage. The orthopedic surgeons talking about the injury that Kemba has. If you don't load manage that knee is not going to last the season. There's just no question about it, folks. It's not even, it's not even a question. He will not be able to, if that knee is not properly, he has to take days off. He has to not play minutes like that. He has to listen to that knee, because that knee, they said, because of the injury, the articular arthritis that he has, that knee is going to blow up. It's going to get swelled right up. And there's not a position. The top orthopedic professor out of Northwestern talked about it, that the knee will swell up. It impacts his lateral movement on defense and stuff. So Tibbs may, do the old thing up in front of everyone, but I'd be stunned if they don't. I'd see less load management maybe for Rose. Like I said, coming back, now he doesn't have the COVID. He still has things. I'd still love load management, no more than 24 minutes in my book for D Rose. But Kemba's an even more serious thing. They better do it, or we love Tibbs this year, but if it goes south, like I said, if Dwayne Casey can win Coach of the Year one year and then he's out the next, it could happen to Tibbs. It could happen to Tibbs, especially if you have Johnny Bryant, a young guy. I think he's next man up if something goes down. So
yeah, you and JD are in that Johnny Bryant's the next head coach camp.
Well, he is the assistant. He's the only person on the team is the associate head coach. Everyone's an assistant coach. So he's the only one that actually has head coach on his business card. I don't know if it has a scan on it, but on his business card, he's absolutely the associate head coach. And he's put his time in. So, and we need some youth. So when Tibbs, he's in his 60s, and nothing's wrong with that. But when it's time to hang it up, we need to have a young guy with the young players today. So coming in. Hey, our guy Robert Parr, OG, coming in. Salute to you. Hope all is well, Robert, our friend. Let's see. This was Tibbs' dream job. Anyone that gets the New York gig is a dream job. So it was a dream last year. But as you know, here in New York, and just ask the New York Mets, it become a nightmare real quick. I said to my wife, that guy Stephen Cohn, that billionaire, bought that team with a big smile on his face, and now he's like saying, "Boy, being an owner of a major league, of a major league franchise is not an easy thing, boy." These players,
not an easy thing, but it's still a dream job. I'll be the person that's out there wiping the sweat off the floor for free. Right there in the Garden. If anybody knows any contacts in Madison Square Garden and they're looking for somebody to fill that position, let me know. That'd be my third job. You know me.
Yeah, and if you need to, I'll be Keith's assistant.
You'll pass me the towels when I'm wiping it up off the floor. I always wonder, how do you get one of those jobs? Is there an HR for Madison Square Garden where you can just walk in and hand your resume?
I don't know. Sure. Yeah, I don't know, man. That'd be happening. That'd be a dream come true. Hey, right? our guy Boost Mobile just joined. Hi, hope all is well with you and the family. Hope you had a nice week. Sorry if you're a Jets or a Giants fan. It was not a nice day for all of us watching that. Like I said last week, especially I can't believe the Giants lost to Atlanta. Meaning, if Joe Judge, Patrick Graham, and especially Garrett, that hot seat's not heating up, then Gettleman got to get out of here just as quick as they do, man. Oh my goodness, this is going to be painful, folks.
What you call it? Bad Dog said something very poetic. He said, "Once again, the Giants season is ending before the Yankees season."
That is poetic.
And the same can be said for the Jets. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and I'm really happy for the Giants that so far the debacle is not on Daniel Jones. This is not
Yeah,
on.
it's not his fault. Not
Yeah,
his fault.
because if it was, there's no elite quarterbacks in this draft. The person that Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma, everybody was talking about, the fans were booing him. So there's not, and everyone's around 6'1". You don't have any of those franchise quarterbacks, but you see what happened to Trevor Lawrence so far in the NFL. It's you could be a can't miss franchise best quarterback I've seen in 20 years as an analyst, and then hits the NFL. It's like, oh boy, it's a hard league. Peyton
but things
Manning.
aren't too bad for the Giants though, because at least we have the 2 first, and it looks like we're gonna suck. The Bears are most likely gonna suck. Justin Fields didn't really look great in his debut. So as long as and if Daniel Jones is still a solid quarterback, or still shows that he's a solid quarterback throughout the rest of the season, then at least we have the pieces to fix it. It's just we're gonna have to get there, and that's what's gonna suck, because I can't take all this losing. We can't.
I know. At least we can get a pass rush, because it seems like Ojulari gets a sack.
3 games, I believe.
But early in every game. But that's the only thing you hear from for the rest of the game. Seriously. So, but speed kills. So he did that, but no pass rush. You can't do that in this league, man. Corners can be good, but you give a wide receiver an unlimited amount of time. There's not a corner that can, not even my Darrell could keep up with somebody if you give him that amount of time. And the amount of missed tackles on the Giants, it's an epidemic, man. And if they lose Blake, him going
he's
down,
probably out. I think a non-contact injury with the knee.
Yeah, I think he blew his ACL. I think that's what we're going to hear. So he went out, and now he's got hammies, which are chronic injuries.
Up and down the wide receiver core. Shepard, not CJ Board. What's his name? Slayton.
Yeah, Slayton and Shepard, both hammies.
Galladay has the hip that he's dealing with.
Yeah,
and we finally saw Tony, and we saw why he was a first-round pick. That guy is twitchy out there. You see back-to-back plays.
Yeah, but what drove me crazy is back-to-back plays, and that was it. I don't think you got a touch in the second half. Exactly. And then I'm like saying, who's this Colin Johnson? The 6'6" guy. He played well.
Yeah. At least he was, at least he was doing his part. But I mean, why wasn't Tony out there? Why wasn't he more of a feature on offense? Especially with the fact that we didn't have Devontae Booker in. Why didn't we see him run the ball a little bit? I mean, Saquon was serviceable in the backfield. He broke a few, had a nice 15-yard run, but we could have used Tony a lot more. He's supposed to be a lot more player.
Not only a gadget, but this what's driving me crazy, and I brought it up, that one of the things that he has to work on, Jones, is that he locks in on his first read. But he also, he keeps checking off long. He won't throw the ball down the field. He keeps going under. He keeps throwing shorter passes, but it's like, this guy Tony, let it out. Let him run a fly pattern. Let him run a deep pattern. Do something. These short passes, and I don't mean anything, but Saquon, every time you hand off the ball, he dances at that line. He gets the ball, all of a sudden he hits the line, and he dances for a second, and boom, they converge. So it's like, man, just explode through that hole, but don't keep that stutter step. You're getting killed. He breaks off one, and then 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, 15 yards. 1 yard, 1 yard, and it's like, come on, man, I want to see better than that. So
I mean, we were able to get some solid runs up the middle. I just don't understand why they started to try to throw a couple tosses that kind of got blown up. And you're right, Saquon, he does dance too much, but I think we're starting to see him get his explosion back game by game. So there was some part
his confidence
I was able to accept from his performance.
Yeah, but Brederson came in, had a brutal penalty. Then you had Price, where Jones dropped. There was a bad, the exchange with the center that killed it. So every time they were in the red zone today, it was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And the penalties are piling up, and then they're calling timeouts so they don't have additional penalties. So I'm like saying to myself, I'm watching, and I'm like, they just called their second timeout with basically the whole fourth quarter to go. And it's like, that's really bad coaching. That's terrible coaching.
Very this is a time management or clock management.
Yeah, if this is a close game, you only have one to go. So what happens at the end? They have to do a different offense because they didn't have any timeouts.
Hmm.
So it was just going crazy. Hey, Craig Mack, Sly Fox, please no Giants talk. I'm hurting. All right, hey, but
We're hurting together. It's all right. It's all right.
we're hurting
It's a
together.
therapy session.
But family, this is your time. So anything you want to talk about, like I said, Fox bearing injury with a full healthy. This is from Bamboo Music. Hey, Bamboo, if this is your first time, give us a thumbs up. We'd like to give you a proper shout out, but Fox bearing injury with a full healthy roster with Mitch manning the center position. Who do you see as a bigger threat for us in the playoffs? Miami, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, assuming you play the Bucks in the final. All of them. I actually Philadelphia is the one wild card because we just don't know what's
We
going to
don't
go
know.
down with Simmons. But Brooklyn, if they stay healthy, that's a brutal team, man. That's a very difficult team. Atlanta, we ran into them last year, and they're a year better now. Miami, they got Kyle Lowry there, so they're going to be a more effective team. But everything that we're talking about, Lowry's up in age. Jimmy Butler has issues health wise. All of the teams, Embiid and Philadelphia. So the weird thing is, DeAndre Hunter on Atlanta, Bogdanovich was out for quite some time. So all the teams, it's not just the Knick team, which I'm glad about. Misery loves company, but it's not just the Knicks. Whether Kemba and Rose can stay healthy and Mitch can stay healthy, all the teams, Bamboo, that you just mentioned, they're all going through the same thing that we are. Their whole seasons are depending. Whether Embiid can stay healthy, Lowry can stay, Butler can stay healthy, Trey can stay healthy. Trey's a little guy. He got banged around at the end of the playoffs and stuff. He's disruptive and he's a phenomenal player. But little guys like we've seen with Kyrie, they get beat up, man. So hopefully, I don't want to see anyone hurt. But Robert Parr, Kyrie won't play no home games if not vaccinated. Wonder how that plays out. Yo, Robert Parr, that's deep, man. Kyrie's I guess Uncle Drew didn't get the vaccine.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I'm glad we don't have to deal with that headache. Some people looked at me like I was crazy when I said I didn't want Kyrie on the team. He's talented, but there's a lot more that comes with the player, outside of his performance on the court. And I don't know if we want to deal with that hoopla over here, especially with the fact that everything is amplified once you have that Knicks jersey on. All that stuff is cool over there in Brooklyn, but the minute you start doing that in New York, that's when things start raise the red flags, raise the alarms. That's when things start getting out of control.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Kyrie. I am a fan of his game. How can't you be? He's an unstoppable player. Sick as handles. He's great. But how he just too many things, whether with Cleveland getting that trade. Hey, who the hell wants to get off a team with LeBron and stuff? Break that up. Well, he wanted to be the man. So he goes to Boston.
And he probably also knew LeBron was going to skedaddle at some point too. Hey, so you're going to leave me here alone.
No doubt. But, but the egos on these guys, but then he gets to Boston and you're like saying, and we're dealing with it now. Just, we don't know whether or not Brown and Tatum can effectively work together. They've been together, and if they don't do it this year, they'll probably blow that up over there. But before that happened, though, you're just saying to yourself, "Wow, Kyrie," and they had Scary Terry on that team too. But it was like saying, "Hey, man, can you? Why wouldn't you want to stay with a young nucleus of the Boston and build something special?" But nope, he's a strange bird, Kyrie, and he's a great player, but he's not a great teammate. When you try to put culture and you have he's great for a team of veterans, but God, is he a cancer on a team with young kids, man. That's the last guy. Yo, Frequency, a very talented guy. What's up? Hope all is well, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, good guy, talented guy. So.
And Foxy, just to add on to the Kyrie point and to what was his name? Bamboo Music said. With Kyrie and with Brooklyn, to me, just to put the question back on screen, I think Brooklyn is going to be the biggest threat to us, and I think it's just at the top end talent. I think we'll be able to pull back leads that they generate with their starters with our second unit. But I just think if you look at Kyrie, if you look at KD, and you look at James Harden, defensively, what are we going to throw at them? I mean, we no longer have Reggie Bullock, and we don't have a Alfred Payton, even though he wasn't a lockdown on Kyrie, he was still an option defensively to at least try to make things difficult. And we've already talked about Kemba and his knee issues. Imagine him trying to move laterally to try to stay in front of a Kyrie Irving. So I think when you look at that three-headed monster over there, they are still the team
Frightening.
to beat. The team to beat in the East. Yeah, the Bucks went ahead and they won the chip. But I mean, yes, the Bucks eliminated them, but the Bucks had to do that to a team that didn't have Kyrie, a team that had James Harden on one leg, and they won because Kevin Durant has a really big foot. So I still think that the Nets are going to be the team to beat in the East, and they're going to be the biggest threat to us.
Yeah, no doubt, and such a threat that they could, beat the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. So I have great respect for champions, but like you said, man, those three guys, Harden's great, Kyrie's great, and KD is just one of the greatest players. He's just unstoppable. And I have just respect because the injury he had at his age, it impacts explosion, it impacts everything. And I'm like saying, you know what? The Nets didn't sign KD. They signed an injured KD. No, actually, they did sign KD because he came back last year. He was just unstoppable. He's just that special of a player. And you have to tip your hat, man, that the guy is just a world. And you saw how bad Harden wants to chip, that he changed his game up on assists, and he wanted to do whatever was necessary, especially when Kyrie was out. So when you have guys sacrificing touches, sacrificing their game to win, that's a tough team to beat. So no different than we were just saying about our boys, Kemba and Mitch and D Rose, etc., about their health. Those guys are healthy, folks. We have talent. They have elite talent. That's a big difference, man. And
Kenrick is saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, Foxy.
No, keep going, please."
Yeah, Kenrick is saying, how many games will the big three of the Nets play? I don't think it's about how many games will they play. It's when will they be playing those games? Because if they're playing those games in the playoffs, it really doesn't matter to me if they miss games during the regular season. It doesn't matter where they fall, 1 through 8, even if they have to go through the play-in, surprisingly. As long as those guys are healthy when it matters most, they are the most difficult team.
And even if they only have 2 of them healthy, that's how good they are. If 2 of those guys are healthy, there's so many, they're so great that having 3 players like that, it's hard to get the touches all 3 of them need. But if you just have Kyrie and KD healthy in the playoffs, that's a frightening duo to go against, man. They get a bucket when they want to get a bucket. There's just not a darn thing you're going to do. I don't care how good you are. I don't care if you're on first team All NBA. They'll light you up. That's how great they are.
Yeah, Dan believes we have an option in Deuce. I think Deuce is definitely somebody we can throw at Kyrie. I just don't see him as being someone that can neutralize Kyrie. He's more so going to be like a gnat. He's going to bother Kyrie, make things difficult for him, but he's not going to neutralize him. But I think, Deuce is, let me not misspeak what Dan is trying to say. He's saying Deuce is going to be 100 times better than Peyton, even as a rookie. I kind of put words in his mouth. My fault there.
Yeah, but folks, I am so glad that he's not here, meaning Peyton. I am like ecstatic, but at the same time, we were first in points given up at 104 points. And as much as you hate Peyton, during the regular season, he had something to do with that. Peyton's a horse. And, when he plays, when he's in the right mindset, he could be a good defensive player. So Deuce, I think, Deuce hasn't played a moment yet. So like Keith was saying, there's not a damn thing, there's not a thing that Deuce on working on all cylinders is going to do to stop Kyrie if Kyrie wants to do what he wants to do. It's not a thing Deuce is going to be able to do with Trey. They're that elite of players that what Deuce will be able to do is stop them a little compared to guys who can't stop them at all. But they're that good that there's really nobody that could stop them. Unless you throw a Ben Simmons, a 6'10", 6'11" guy at them that could throw off their game. And that's why, Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons, 106 defensive rating. He's an elite player, but it's a mismatch. He's a giant guy with giant wingspan going against these guys. And he's how many Ben Simmons are there in the NBA? None.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Also, Craig Mack is saying very rarely can you stop a superstar. Well, Jason Terry did stop LeBron in that 2011 finals.
Usually, you know what? They stop themselves. They just
it's all in their head.
Or they just don't have the ball fall in that series or something like else. But these guys, they're just spectacular. But that's why I said the great ones, like I can't stop you, like we were talking about Murray and Donovan a couple of seasons ago. Donovan they couldn't stop Murray, but then they couldn't stop Donovan. So the only way to get back is like get them back on the other end of the court. And what you want to do with those guys is because they're so spectacular, work them, make them play defense so they don't have, their stamina and everything about them. It impacts them in that fourth quarter. So yeah, they're going to light you up on offense, but make sure you work the hell out of them. Make sure you kill them on screens. Make sure you bang the hell out of them. That's what great teams. That's why the great teams.
Look at the Warriors.
Look at the Warriors.
Play around and then having to go and create your own offense on the other side of the court.
Yeah, man, that's
difficult.
Yeah, that's running sprints for 48 minutes trying to cover those guys, their movement, and that's one of the key things. Last year we were 29th in assists as a team. So we need better ball movement. We need other things to make everyone better. We don't want those ISO plays from Randall this year. He did great, but kills the offense. We were 30th in pace. There's some advantages to being 30th in pace, but Phoenix, for example, was 26 with a CP3. So I'm not adverse to us being 30th in pace, but and it helps somewhat on defense and stuff like that. But I'd like us to be a little more up tempo. God, how many games did we go last year, Keith, with 4 fast break points, 8 fast break points? That's terrible. Jeff Diaz, how are you? Jeff A, if this is your first show, please do a thumbs up. We'd like to give you a proper shout out. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Jeff says, do you think Sims will get some burn this season? I do, but maybe second half. I think he is, Jeff. I think he's going to be where he needs to be in the G League with the right development staff and working with him. That, like I said, I'm really looking forward to seeing him next year with a great year of development unders. But I would not be surprised to see him get some minutes. You can't teach his athleticism. You can't teach his flexibility to, switch on players out there. He has unbelievable talent that you just can't teach. So if you could teach some of the other things technique-wise to him, so the players in the NBA are just so savvy, the vets, they'll get that kid in foul trouble in 8 minutes. That's the problem with bigs. They just get in foul trouble really, really quick. So I do think he'll get some minutes, but I don't think there'll be any really substantial minutes or significant minutes. And getting back a while ago, somebody asked me, do I think Obi will get 25 minutes this year? No, I don't. Because where's he, you can't, there's only four, pardon?
You broke up. Say that one more time. I didn't hear you. You said what about Obi?
One of the question was, do I think, is my audio okay?
No, it broke my headphones.
Oh, okay. That the question was, do I think that Obi will get 25 minutes this year? And my answer is no, because there's only 48 minutes in a game. I'd like to see Randall get around 33, down from 37, about 4 minutes. But let's say he does get 33 minutes. That's 15 for Obi. And I don't see Obi at the 5. He's not strong enough to play the 4, so I don't see him at the 5. And he absolutely will get lit up. He'll get eaten and spit out at the 3. So I don't see him getting, to answer your question, my friend. I don't
Foxy,
see, yeah,
quick question.
yeah.
So we're talking about Mitch potentially being injured. So I know Obi can't. You say Obi's not physical enough to play the 5, but could we see Julius Randle, where we've seen him play the center as a Laker?
Yep.
Could we see the Knicks potentially move him over to the 5 and try to get Obi some more minutes at the 4 that way? That
Great
would be
question.
ideal,
That would
especially
be
with Mitch
ideal.
being injured.
That and also spacing. The Knicks last year were 25th in the league of getting their shots blocked. Julius got it blocked 70 times. RJ, I think 86 times. That because of congestion. They got in there. Mitch is in there. There were times like, what the hell is Peyton doing in there? So I would love, no, seriously, how many times I stop, rewind, and go over the plays, watching the pick, whether it's, whatever I'm like, what the hell is Peyton doing in there? For the life of me. So, but thank the Lord we won't have that problem anymore. But, but what was I saying? What we were, I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about. I lost my train of thought too when you asked me that, because now you snapped me out of it.
Yo, Chad, help us.
Oh, we were talking about Randall moving over to the 5. And
Randall the 5. So I think Randall, like you said, his last year as a Laker was 55 at the power forward spot, 45 at the center spot. So I have no problem us using Randall as small ball 5, use that outside shooting, open up the lane, get better spacing. I could absolutely see that happening a lot more than Obi. That's for darn sure.
I mean, we have a pretty deep team where we can experiment. It's just the whole Mitch situation, which we talked about earlier in the show, kind of throws everything through a loop at this point, because I was fully expecting him to be available. From what I saw, he looked good. He was moving fine, and he's putting on additional weight. So you would think his foot would be ready to return to action.
And like you said, it's been months. So it's not like this is months and months. So you're like saying, and with a team of the New York Knicks and technology, that he was every type of treatment that he could possibly get, whether it's cryo or whatever that's needed for freezing and getting stuff to heal. So I was surprised about it, but they're smart, man. I think they're smart to go this route and try to, let them go full blast. Nah, go slow. This is a marathon. It ain't a sprint. So we got a long season, an 82 game season.
Yeah. Got a full season finally. Thank God.
Yep.
I want to know if they're advising him, though. Are they fine with him packing on this additional weight? Because we really haven't heard much from the organization in terms of how they feel about the weight gain. They've shown it on social media, but once it's already done, you might as well run with it, right?
Yeah, again, always a great question. I don't know. Like you said, you don't hear that he's working with a strength coach. You don't hear that he's working with a nutritionist. I don't know if he's doing this on his own. Like I said, I've never seen it ever in any sport, but no less basketball, a player putting on 60 pounds over 2 years, ever. Never seen it. It's almost, it's goes against every principle, the center of balance, burst. All I see is that it's a recipe for disaster. I see injuries more than anything, because how is a body supposed to, muscle? I don't care if all of a sudden he comes out like the Hulk. Hello, brothers. But I just don't know how that's not going to slow him up. I don't know how it's, like I said, this game is about explosion, man. It's about, double bounce, going up for a rebound, coming back and going right back up, that second bounce and everything. What the hell, 60 pounds? And let's say, forget about the 60 pounds. Let's say 30 pounds, because he did it over 2 seasons. Let's just say that he packed on 30 pounds. 30 pounds is is huge. That's huge. That throws off your everything, your center of balance, your everything. So forget about the 60. Even if it's just 30, it's a lot to deal with, and it's a lot to deal with a foot injury. It's a lot to deal with legs. He's, you saw him on the plane. His upper body now is like that, but what's that do to his lower body? Did his lower body, so it's going to be really, really interesting. Michael Jones said Mitch can always lose some pounds if it don't work.
They're worried about injury.
It's a lot easier putting on pounds than it is taking off pounds.
Then if you're already injured, what's the shedding of the pounds going to do? It'll help further. I mean, it'll help you try to avoid injuries further down the road, but we're trying to avoid them before they even, sneak up on you. And another thing is, I would hope he's working in coordination with the Knicks medical staff, the training staff, because I'm a Mets fan, and we've seen players like a Noah Syndergaard go out and do their own off-season workout, come back to the team, and then deal with injuries on and off throughout a season. And right now he's trying to come back from Tommy John. So,
but you know what? You nailed it again. That in one of the questions, one of the people said, Kenrick says he's not fat, he's cut up. But that's the point, that muscle makes you stiffer. You want athletes that are lean, that are flexible. You don't want all of a sudden becoming muscle bound. That's, anytime, like in fighting and stuff, you see these guys with muscle upon muscle, usually they get their ass whooped because they're not as agile. They're not flexible. They're not fast. They're stiff. And so he may be cut and everything like that, but that doesn't mean he's limber. That doesn't mean he has the same bounce that he used to, man. That's a lot of, it's weight, it's gravity now. He has more weight from pulling him down, man.
And Foxy, when you look at some of these players, a lot of them are trying to lose weight. They're saying LeBron James is the thinnest we've seen him. Carmelo Anthony, the thinnest we've seen him. Now, of course, those are perimeter players.
And they're getting older.
The players that have to be a little bit more agile. But even players like a Boogie Cousins, we've seen him try to slim down and try to lose some weight so he can stay on the court a lot more. So I don't know if
you saw the kid Luka Garza.
Losing weight.
He lost like 30 pounds to get in. Yeah, so this is not a thing of being bigger. It's a speed. It's about quickness, this league. It's, you got to hold your spot in the 5 position, but that post up, the game has changed. How many post ups do you see in a game now?
Exactly. And then when you look at Mitch boxing out, he's pretty decent with the box out, especially offensive, on offensive rebound.
Top situation. 3 offensive rebounder. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't see him really getting moved from his position down low to the fact where I'm saying he needs to throw on 60 pounds, maybe 10, 20 pounds. And go from there. But 60 might have been a little bit too extreme. But hopefully it works out for him.
Yeah, and like I said, even if it's just 30, that the first 30, because he did it over 2 seasons, that he went from 223 up to 253, and then last year he went from 253 this past season up to 283. That's big incremental jumps, man. Have you ever
not somebody that's been with a clean bill of health? So So he's adding all this weight, and you're seeing the injuries continue to pile up, and they start to get more and more severe. So at some point, you would think you're saying, what's the common denominator here? The additional adding of weight.
Yeah, because I've seen
weight gain.
The only thing I've ever seen anything like that is for potential offensive linemen in college, because you have to be over 300 pounds to be in the NFL to play the line. And they're like 285, 275, and they're successful, but they know they want to have a career. So they're eating 6 meals a day. They're just eating. But they're an offensive lineman. They're not an NBA center where quickness, first steps, agility, bounce, everything. It's a whole different thing, man. So it's going to be unique. It's going to be very unique. But the biggest thing is, I just see it as, what people say. I've said this about Zion, that Zion is just an absolute marvel to watch. But, as a historian, and I asked this to the chat and the SV Nation and stuff, how many 280 or 300 pound guys have you ever seen do that? We saw Charles Barkley, whose closest thing, and even then I think he was like 265. But there's a violence to Zion Williamson's game. And when you see that bounce and you see him go up for those jams, he's coming down, the muscles and tendons. There's only so much they can support. So he goes up for those violent dunks. He's coming out down on those knees. At Duke, and he broke that sneaker, ripped that sneaker.
Who's Zion?
That I've never seen that happen. I saw it one time after that happened, actually, but I've never. Do you know the strength to rip a freaking sneaker like that? So the pound, and you said earlier, it was basically a math problem when you were saying that Mitch had smaller feet. So the pounds per square inch is actually from a math issue, it's intensified because of that smaller foot. You don't have a bigger foot to distribute the mass. Mm-hmm. So with Zion, people, I'd love Zion. I love Zion. I can't see Zion having a long career in the NBA. And I think it's a DNA thing that this kid could starve. He's going to be 300 pounds because it's his frame. I think him starving, he'll still come in at 285. I don't see him ever being a svelte type of player. I just don't see it. I think it's out of his hands. That it's just the way God made him. That's his frame and everything. He's huge. So I just don't see him having a long career without injury. The injury reaper coming to haunt him. And I don't wish that on him at all. But everyone has these fantasies of getting RJ and Zion back together. But I like to remind people that they didn't win anything when they were together in college. So it's not like you're putting two guys together that took over the college.
Dan, you're the one that had asked. I think I was on with JD, and I think he had asked if Mitch will be the next Hassan Whiteside. I think he also called into Knicks Fan TV the next day and asked CP as well, if I'm not mistaken. Dan, let me know if I'm tripping.
Well, I don't know. Was that a question to me or?
No,
I didn't think so.
I think he was mentioning us talking about Mitch's potential injury issues and us giving him the bag and him not turning out to be what we expect.
Maverick says Zion's body is built to support the weight he carries. It's not about. It was about to say it's a physics thing. It's a math thing. And again, can those joints handle the pressure of the impact? Those ankles, those toes, those knees, those hips. If that could handle the stress, the up and down stress. So I know he's built, but he's built more to be a tight end. The wear and tear of jumping and hops and back, and like I said, that second bounce, that going up and then going up again real quick, that explosion, that's where Achilles get blown and that's where knees get blown. So hey, I'd like to see him have a long career, and if he does have a long career, maybe he'll learn how to shoot. The guy can't shoot for shit, but he's unstoppable in the paint. So
all right, and Dan is saying I'm right. I got the situation correct. But yeah, I see what you mean, Dan. But I don't think we're gonna pay him anywhere near what Whiteside was making. What was Whiteside making? 25 mil annually?
Yeah, what that Miami contract? That was crazy, man. And that was one of the guys that he got the contract and never was the same player again. He was always a pretty good shot blocker, but he never earned that salary. So, but like we said a couple of weeks ago, folks, we think that if the Knicks do lock him up, it'll be in the Williams of Boston in that $13 to $15 million a year. And hopefully, because he's paying 6 agents, that he'll do a hometown thing like Randall did and just say
discount.
Hometown discount. And if he sees the thing like 4 years, 60 million, or 4 years, 52 million, something like that, sign it and let us, and then just hope that everything that we talked about doesn't come to fruition in terms of injury, that he'll just mature and all the elements of the other aspects of his game, his free throw shooting, his setting picks, being able to hit a mid range jumper. I don't want him shooting threes. I just want him to be able to do a pick and pop. So that would make me awful happy. But at this point in time, he's an elite offensive rebounder, and almost all his points come off of him, getting an offensive rebounding and going back up, or a lob. And like you said, you touched on it a couple shows ago. They opened up a lot of games last year where RJ would get the ball, he'd go down and then do a lob to Mitch to open up the game. So I'd definitely like to see more of that.
Foxy, Finesseful J is speaking my language. He's saying, I want Reddish. To be honest, the Knicks development staff would work wonders with him. How do you feel? Now, I dropped a video on the channel talking about a potential Kevin Knox for Cam Reddish swap. Now, I would love that. I
sure we would, because there's value for us to get in Cam Reddish, and there's no value for Atlanta. We got rid of somebody that has.
That's their problem. Let them figure that out. you want to attach some second round picks to sweeten the deal, sweeten the pot? Feel free, but I like what Cam can give to us.
And it came on at the end of the season.
In the playoffs, yep.
In playoffs, and at the end of the season, it looked like he was finding his game. Hey, he was always an elite. When he came out in the draft with RJ, and that year, that everyone was saying athletically, Cam was like at another whole level than RJ, man. That RJ had other aspects that's why he went number 3. But Cam, that if he could put it together, because he already had the athleticism that you just love. He had the size, he had everything, but his shooting, but he's draining those threes now. He looks much better. I'd love Cam, on this team. And they're stacked. They're really stacked. So I don't know if that's somebody that we could get from them. Or if they would even trade with somebody that's a rival, in the Eastern Conference. But I definitely go for Cam. I wouldn't give up a first round draft choice for him. Yeah, but I'd definitely give up a Kevin Knox in a fraction of a second. I'd give up Kevin Knox and a couple of the second round picks for Cam Reddish.
Yeah, there was some news around draft time that the Hawks were looking to move on from Reddish because they had a glut of young wings on their roster. So it kind of takes away from including Kevin Knox in the deal, because Kevin Knox is pretty much
a wing.
Exactly, a wing. So that deal in itself probably wouldn't work. But I like what Cam Reddish can provide. He already can be a lockdown defender out there on the wing. We lost Reggie Bullock, so if we were to bring in Cam Reddish, he can kind of step into that role. And he has the tag of being somebody that can knock down the three. We haven't seen him much in the NBA up until this point, but in the playoffs, he looked pretty good out there knocking down that 3-pointer for the Hawks, even though it was in a defeat. But if he's able to figure it out, if we have Tom Thibodeau working with him defensively, making him into maybe a Kawhi Leonard type defensive player, or you have Johnny Bryant trying to work with his offensive game, because coming in, most of the players in that draft class, they all said Cam Reddish was the player they expected to be one of those upper echelon players in their class. So if we have players, or if we have coaches like a Johnny Bryant that can kind of put everything together, similar to what he was able to do with Donovan Mitchell, then I think Cam Reddish could be a player that could thrive in New York. He's already familiar with RJ from their time over in Duke. So it would be a fit that I'd pursue if it was for a reasonable deal.
And the thing that this team is in dire need of athleticism. RJ is great physicality, just average athletically. Randall, the same, that we don't have anybody with explosive athletic talent. Cam would bring a whole different thing. I'd love to have that at the guard position, but my biggest thing is get that, or, as I was saying, I would love this team in the next year or so to get a 6'8", 7'2" wingspan, 3-and-D, small forward. So he's not 6'8", but he's up there, man. There was, in the draft, they said if Cam could put it together, he probably had a higher ceiling than RJ, even though RJ was taken before him. So, I definitely would love some Cam on this team, man. So he'd bring a whole different thing. Grimes is going to be better than Cam. I don't know about that, man, because Grimes doesn't have the athleticism that Cam does. So if Cam can shoot the same as Grimes, I don't see that.
What you call it? I'm sorry. You weren't finished, Foxy?
No,
Go ahead,
no,
finish.
no, please. After you. No, after you.
No, Stafford Don is saying, okay, we get him. Whose position is he taking in the starting lineup? Cam is not.
He's not taking anybody's position in the starting lineup.
In the Hawks. He's not starting with the Hawks right now. So he'll come off the bench. He'll probably eat minutes from Burks. And whichever one is able to beat the other out in training camp, they're the one that's going to fill that role with the second year. It's not a big splash trade to bring in another top tier starter. It's going to bring in a player that didn't work out with his previous team. So we're going to bring him in and see if it'll work with us. Similar to what they did with the Cavaliers, even though KPJ, he had a turbulent time with the Cavaliers, but they were able to move on from a talented player that just ran its course with their team, and they only got a second round pick out of it. So if we can get something similar without having to give up too much in terms of players and in terms of picks, I would definitely pick up the phone and listen when it comes to Cam.
Yeah. I just wanted to thank, we have 152 people in the chat, and it's about a quarter to 12. We have 106 likes. We went over the 100. So thank you so much. If you haven't hit that like, please hit that like. If you haven't hit the subscribe, please hit that subscribe. And if you haven't turned on the all reminder notification bell, please do, so you don't miss out on any of the great content from Keese and the Sports Vibe family. And please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. Last but not least, shout out to Boost Mobile, Lex the Destroyer, the Delano Steele Jr., all of the different mods that we have. We appreciate all you do. Ron Cowan, don't want to forget you, Ron, my friend. So we appreciate all you do. Thanks so much, everyone. Michael Jones, hey, Foxy, you said LeBron is losing weight at his age, but it's not that easy for Mitch to lose weight. Tell me about it. Yeah. It's easy to put it on, but it's a whole different thing taking it off.
I would think it's more difficult for LeBron to lose the weight as he gets older and as his metabolism slows down. Mitch is a nice, young,
he's a young buck.
Yeah.
LeBron, I agree with you, man. But like you said, all these guys, they're losing weight. Yeah, Fox with the roll call. Yeah, Boost Mobile, my brother. Yep. So.
New York sports guy. New York fans are the only fans that expect players 1 through 15 should be starter level. I mean, it's true. That's probably true, but I think that's what makes New York fans so passionate, because we want the best on our team. And I think we push the players that are 6 through 15 to be one of the best, to be starting caliber. So or if not respectful with it.
Yeah. Or starter within 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, close enough.
yeah. So
we need some growth potential.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's only a few guys that come into this league that are starter, because this league is so serious, that come in right off the bat. And if they do, they usually have a lot of growing pains, and it's at the end of the first season. So you saw at the beginning of the season, Anthony Edwards was having issues, and then at the end of the season, he was eating, because he learns the speed, learns the game. So it's not easy to just walk in, start. You got to just the speed, the strength, and just the scheme. And also this ugly word, defense. They didn't make me play defense in college like this. What is this NBA? The coach college, and the players, AAU. They expect me to play defense? What are you, crazy, man? Yeah. Hey, Jarvis LaFleur, my friend. Jarvis, a good guy. Thank you for so much for joining. Really one of the great guys, Jarvis. Braham 718, Cam will start after we put Evan in the trade for Cat.
Everybody's trying to move Evan for Cat, man. He's only been here for about a month, and everybody's trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, I know. And, and that's the weird part, because I think New York fans are going to really like Evan Fournier, because... Well, we haven't had a really great shooter from 3 levels like this guy, so everybody, I saw him in Orlando, he's a little boring. There's nothing that really jumps out when I watch Fournier. Folks, he's a really good shooter. And if he has quality guys like Randall and RJ and Kemba around him, yo, he's not going to only make them better, but the spacing, this guy can shoot. This guy can really shoot. And there's been a long time since we had a guy who can shoot, but also can make a play, can pass the ball. You know, he has a higher IQ than some guys. So I think everyone's going to be really, really, happy with him. Manchild, my guy, Manchild, how are you? Dan Murray, I know we will get burned for this, but send Mitch in a package from Miles Turner, who can anchor the defensive side and he can shoot. Dan, there's a big problem with that. They drafted Mitch this year. His name's Isaiah Jackson. So they already have Indiana already has Mitch, but younger at 19 with more athleticism than Mitch. So I don't know whether they trade Miles to get a replica of what they already have. So
you got to see the cat comments, Foxy. They're hilarious. You got Mike Notes is saying, "Let's forget about Cat."
I'm with
Lex
you.
The Destroyer, no Cat. Tibbs doesn't want to get fired again.
Word, Lex, that's my guy. Yeah. He's a foundational role player. Dan, who's that? Who's the foundational role player? Kenrick, exactly. Evan can ball. He absolutely can ball. Yeah, mentioned he's good. Let's get them links
Foxy,
up.
how you feel about Sexton? Finesse Fool J is saying one more question. Sexton next offseason, do we pick him up if he walks?
I would have no problem. He was, Sexton, you can't teach speed kills. We saw the impact that Trey had, the disruptive, and he's an excellent shooter, Colin Sexton. I mean, a very good shooter from everywhere. Mid-range, 3-point, foul line, finishing. Yeah, these guys are old. Kemba and Rose, we're hoping to get 2 years out of them. But if we can get him next year, he's going to, the weird part about it is Davion Mitchell is older, was drafted this year, and he's older than Sexton, who has 3 years of NBA experience. So he's 22 years old, has NBA experience, and he's never had a coach like Tibbs. So if we can get a great coach like that, like I said, one of the things that is missing from this team is somebody with speed, explosive speed. Speed changes everything. And, Kemba, he's not the same. He's still going to be very good, a billion times better than Peyton. And like I said, a one-legged Kemba is better than a two-legged Peyton any day of the week. But we don't have that, oh my God, look at that speed. Oh my God, look at that explosion. And, and also just watch the Nets Cleveland game last year. This guy wanted it. He was going against, we just talked about how elite Kyrie and Brooklyn is. Cleveland, he took them on his back, Colin. So this is a guy that in a big game against the best players in the world showed up and showed how much game he has. So I'd love Sexton, man. He's a young guy. Hey, I think he was 24th in the league in scoring this year. I think Randall was 20th in the league. And so basically, if we would have, if Sexton got here, with RJ Randall and Sexton, possibly 3 20-point scorers in a lineup. So I could go for that. And healthy, too. And he's strong, and he's a dog. And, yeah, I'd love me some Sexton on this team, boy. It's not going to happen for a year or so, but he would give us he'd give us a point guard for a long time to come.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Sexton fan. I'll pass on him. First, you're going to have to pay him. And I'm not sure how he would gel if you insert him into a lineup with RJ and Julius Randle. I feel like we already have some young guards on this team, like McBride, that we could hope could grow into not a Colin Sexton, because he doesn't have the explosive first step or anything like that, but a dog out there at point guard. And I would try to look elsewhere. I think Sexton, his teammates haven't necessarily seemed to have to enjoy playing with him. And if you look at this,
I don't know. Kevin Love said he's one of the hardest working players that he's ever worked with. So I agree, but it's hard on bad teams.
when you comment on somebody's work ethic, it's usually because you really don't have anything else positive to say. Especially
Touche.
when it's your point guard, your floor general. So if we're building a
Touche.
team that's building a strong bond, a strong culture, I don't know if I would want to insert a live wire like a Colin Sexton, because if that's the point, we could have passed on a second round pick and brought in a KPJ who is probably similarly explosive and has some issues, I guess, in the locker room, and we could have probably gotten him for cheaper and rolled the dice with him.
Yeah. Everybody knows I love Deuce McBride, but there was a reason he was picked 36th. He does not have anywhere near the explosive athleticism of a Sexton. So he uses his physicality, he uses his smarts, he uses his handle, but you can't replace just explosion. And that's why, I like Sexton that, it's very hard to look good on a bad team, and also being a player, very similar to what the Knicks did to Knox, but, Sexton comes in, and what do they do a year later? They draft Garland. That plays with a kid's head. So, he's a ball hog, but who else is, if he's not a ball hog, who else is going to be doing stuff on that Cleveland team? So that's an ugly thing. So, I wish the kid, but I'd love us, in the next few years. Deuce, I think, is going to have a fine NBA career, but, hey, we'll see. But there's no replacement for speed. Just absolute speed. Adam Gatson. Hi, Adam. Hope all is well. Good to see you. Hard disagree.
Adam.
We have to take a risk at some point. Okay, let's look elsewhere, but where? So
I'm not against taking the risk. I just don't think it's Sexton or bust when it comes to going out there and taking that risk. I just don't think Sexton gels with this team the way it's currently constructed. I'm fine
but you
with
made a great
move.
Yeah, but you made a fantastic point. If they're given the bag to Randall and they have the bag all set for RJ when he comes, how many bags can they're going to sign Mitch? Let's say 13, 15 million in that range. If he, God willing, could stay healthy, how much are you going to be able to pay if you have RJ all locked up and you have Randall all locked up and everything? How much you can be able to pay Collins? So your point was fantastic. I don't know if it's going to be, if we can sign him, if we're going to have the money to do it.
And what are we going to do with Rose and Kemba? Hopefully, well, Kemba's contract is reasonable. You could probably move on from it, but Derrick Rose still has the guaranteed year for next season. So
yeah, I like I said, he's great, but you can't, he's a stopgap. They gave him a good contract and said, you know what, he still has stuff left in his tank. He'll be better this year with, he's a year away from COVID. He'll know the players, but he's going to be 33. So, it's still an issue with that age, youth, it's a young man's game. But you know what? It's not true because they're paying CP3 till he's 40 at point guard. They're paying Conley. They're paying Kyrie, not Kyrie, Kyle Lowry. So there is a place for old point guards in the NBA. So because it's such a talent, it's such a gift that if you have it, it's just hard. Like we were saying, it's hard to get a big guy. It's even harder to get a good point guard, man. And if you have one, you'll pay them till they're 40. Till they're 40. So
Mark Dave is saying it's going to be Nets versus Lakers 21-22 finals. So it's going to be Kyrie versus Brook in the finals.
Is a real good shot. You're right on target there, my friend. So, yep, there's a real good shot. It's going to be real interesting with Westbrook over with the Lakers and, whether, what we were just saying about what we're experiencing, our fears, can AD ever stay healthy? AD they gave up everything. And then you say to yourself, if they never gave up if they never went for the trade for AD, they'd have Brandon Ingram, they'd have Lonzo Ball, they'd have Josh, what was it, Hart?
Yeah.
They, they'd have all of this young nucleus, but can AD stay healthy? Can LeBron stay healthy? I don't care if he's losing weight and everything. It's an ugly game that he's been healthy for a long, long time. You hate to say it, but it's just really, really difficult. So Westbrook, Westbrook is fantastic, but is he going to gel? What's he going to do on that
How's that
team?
floor spacing going to be with?
How's that floor spacing? He's not a really good outside shooter, and so the stats, he always has stats, but it's not stats that led teams to wins. So it looks great.
There was that period of time where he won MVP. What was that? 2017? I can't remember the exact year.
Yeah,
that
it was
time,
triple double almost every night.
Yeah. But since then, his triple doubles really haven't amounted to much, both on the Wizards. And,
if it doesn't result in wins, then it's just a stat, So Westbrook averaging 10 plus assists is going to be the dog they need. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. How much is left in his tank, man?
Yeah.
There's so many guys on that team that they're hoping that they can squeeze out. Manchild, Deuce plays both sides of the floor, defense and offense. He does, and I like him a whole lot. But the one thing that I didn't talk about Deuce, that he does have a flaw in his game. That was one of the strangest flaws I've seen in my analysis. He has trouble with layup level shots. That I watched him at West Virginia have all these, endless amount of tape I watched where he'd have an open lane right to the rim, and he's in love with his pull-up. And obviously we saw in the summer league that he has that 6'9", he can dunk the ball. And he has an excellent mid-range game, beautiful pull-ups. But if you have an open, open alley, open to the hole, go for that layup, man. And I've seen him. He obviously doesn't have the hops, and height bothers him. But that's the one part of the game he didn't see in the summer league that I hope that he's working on, that we don't see rear its head once he does get some burn, that he has trouble finishing. Because we saw that with RJ, we saw that with D Rose. I said to you last week, Foxy's stat of the week last week was Elfrid Payton finished at the rim at 55% accuracy. D Rose finished at 53%. So that's an ugly thing to know that Elfrid Payton shot better from at the hole and that. But that's where I'm hoping that won't be an issue with Deuce's game. He wasn't in a situation in summer league where that was exposed, but it was really a problem in college that he would rather take a layup than just drive and have a layup level shot at the rim. So it's something, again, he was picked 36 for a reason. And part of that reason was his lack of explosion, his lack of separation, his lack of hops, and his lack of finishing. So great defense, good shooter, really good mid-range shooter, really good 41% from three, good foul shooter. But those other elements are issues. If he didn't have those issues, he would have been picked 10.
Yeah, so Foxy, Jeff Diaz is asking, what do you think our weakest position is? So I'm guessing that means what, 1 through
3.
5? The 3? I was thinking something similar too. We need that defensive stopper, I think, out there.
Oh, yeah, that's why the Trey Murphy would have been a dream come true, to have a guy that can shoot threes like that, but is disruptive, that's 6'9", has that height, but that 7+ wingspan, that has hops. Oh, man, he was a great cutter. There's a kid, folks, called Khalib Houstan, who is a rookie this year, a freshman this year at Michigan. He's this year's Trey Murphy. So do me a favor, you see Michigan games on this year, tune in. He's number 22. That's the number he'll have. Khalib Houstan, Houstan, but it's pronounced like Houston, like the city. 6'9", can shoot threes, is a dog on D. So that's my early draft 2022 draft note, that I'm already looking at that thing that this team needs. There's a kid on UCLA also, but doesn't shoot the three like this kid Khalif Houston. Wow, he's next year's Trey Murphy. Can shoot, has the length, can play D. We need that in the worst way, folks. A 6'8", 6'9", so that you're getting to your thing. That's our weakness. I think we're stacked at the point guard. I don't care. They're 32, 33. They still got game, and especially managing their minutes. They're going to be able to, showcase. They'll stay fresh. You have backups, IQ, Deuce. I think we're good there. RJ, I love my RJ. He's a bully at the 2. He's great there. Randall at the 4. Mitch stay healthy at the 5 with Nerlens. It's the 3. Fournier is good, but we talked about potentially he's a great shooter, but he's not a defensive player. He's not a bad defensive player, but he's not a real defensive player. He doesn't have the length.
Not a stopper.
He's not a stopper or disruptive. We talked about, and you brought up great points last week about DeAndre Hunter not only giving RJ problems, but he gave Randall problems. Mm-hmm. That, everybody's talking Cam Reddish. If DeAndre Hunter could stay healthy, I'd love the Knicks to have DeAndre Hunter, but I think he's always injured, that guy. So
I think George actually saw him out in LA after he got hurt in the playoffs. I think George mentioned he saw him.
Wow. Shout out to George, part of the syndicate, Into the Knicks Verse.
Into the Knicks Verse.
If you haven't subscribed, some of the best analytics, or George is just great. So please subscribe to Into the Knicks Verse. Great content. Warren Franklin.
If you haven't subscribed, make sure you're subscribed here as well.
Yep, exactly. So make sure, please, if you haven't subscribed to Sports 5 TV, the best decision you ever made, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe, make sure you hit that all reminder notification bell, and make sure you share the link on your favorite social media platforms. We greatly appreciate it. Warren Franklin, Charlie Ward's cousin, I hope all is well, my friend. I believe Cat and Lillard coming to the Knicks. We have trade pieces to do it. Oh, you were doing that, Warren, since Uncle Ron days, bringing up those rumors, man. So if we got Cat and Lillard, we'd be playing Wayne Selden because we couldn't afford anything else after those two guys.
Yeah, so got the roster.
Yeah, we'd have to have a really ugly roster with those two guys. So I hope not. I hope you're inside talking to your cousin and stuff. I hope you're wrong. Muhammad, I hope all is well. Muhammad's down with Cat. Yep.
Foxy, this one's in your ballpark from Jarvis LaFleur. Question: how effective do you see RJ at the small forward position? Is he still growing into his body?
Yeah, Jarvis, great question. I don't see him at the small forward position at all. And the reason why is, like I said, whether it was Simmons, whether it's length gives RJ problems. He got a shot blocked. RJ is a perfect 2 because he can bully undersized 2s. He's a perfect at 2. He doesn't, as we know, he has average athleticism at most. He doesn't have real hops. So you don't want to put them the 3s in this league. Well, like we were just talking about, they're brutal, man. They're big, they're long, they're fast, they're athletic. We get the best out of RJ at the 2 because, that's where he has an advantage. He loses that advantage at 3, but at the 2, he can be a bully. And that's why I'm hoping this year that we talked about a couple things. One of the things is Kemba doesn't have the game of a D Rose of breaking down the defense and driving, but RJ does. So I'd love to see RJ, become a much greater facilitator this year. That kid can drive. He uses his physicality, uses his body, get to the hole. If they converge, let RJ be the one that kicks it out. We don't, the game's changed, as we saw with Joker and we've seen with Draymond. You don't have to be a point guard to be a facilitator anymore. Randall had 6 assists last year, and you know what? If he had Fournier and he had Kemba, he probably would have had 9 assists last year, averaged 9 assists, throwing it out to Peyton. And, and I know that Bullock shot over 40%, but is it me? He seemed like he clanked so many shots last year, and especially in the second half. So I was not a Bullock fan at all. And some of his bonehead plays that he made. My buddy Jarvis, I always felt the same way. Stephen Fox, thanks for the feedback. Yeah, can he play the three? Absolutely. But can he play the three as well as he can play the two and give the Knicks that advantage? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Warren, but I love our starter and roster. We deep too. Yeah, I think we're really deep, and I think that second team will be a real competitive advantage for us this year. That our starters will be good, but then when they get their breather, we're not hoping for a second team to keep a lead or keep it close. We have a second team that can do damage and not only get back a lead, build on a lead, and it could be huge. I think we have the best bench in basketball if we can stay healthy,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah, and that's the big question. So Foxy, we'll wrap it up here.
Okay.
I think we had a solid stream. Got 162 in chat, and we've got 123 likes. So thank you guys for supporting this stream. We felt like we had a pretty jam-packed show. If you like the show, let us know in the comments section. Also, if you're watching and you're watching on the rebroadcast, let us know down in the comments if you're new. Let us know if you want to be engaged in the conversation. Leave a comment down in this comment section. Foxy will respond. I'll respond. And
Absolutely.
We'll engage post stream. So Foxy, any last words?
Not just I love the family. I just can't tell you. On Sunday morning, I wake up. I know we have the show at night. I'm just like on cloud nine. I can't wait to talk to my family. I love your feedback. I love your questions. I love learning from you, man. Both Keith and I, we're always talking about that. We study a lot, but every show we learn. You're always bringing different points of view that we love, that educates us, and that's what it's all about. You learn from us, and we learn from you. It's a match made in heaven. So we can't tell you. And again, thank you for your support. We appreciate you subscribing. We appreciate everything you do. So we love you, man. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again next Sunday night.
Chat, SV Nation, thank you guys for supporting the show. I'm Keith, host of Sports Vibes TV, joined by our NBA analyst, Stephen Fox, and we're out.
Love you.